after a shooting that wounded 3 people, sent shoppers scrambling, and drew a massive police response to the Fashion Show Mall. That shooting Tuesday evening stemmed from a gang-related dispute. Police identified Christopher Valenzuela Olivas as the shooter who fled after 3 people were wounded. He's jailed pending a court appearance. The Oakland Raiders have been officially renamed the Las Vegas Raiders. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak unveiled the Raiders' new name alongside owner Mark Davis at a news conference Wednesday at Allegiant Stadium. The NFL officially approved the Raiders' relocation to Las Vegas in March 2017. Las Vegas getting a new slogan to replace "What happens here stays here." The new slogan, "What happens here only happens here," will debut during a series of commercials in the Grammy Awards on Sunday, featuring celebrities including Shania Twain, Christina Aguilera, and Aerosmith, talking about how Vegas presents visitors with unique experiences. With a check on our weather, here's News 3's Kelly Curran.
We're looking at lots of sunshine across the area on this Thursday, and the temperatures even warmer. We're going to be topping out in the mid-60s today in Las Vegas, with winds out of the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Keep listening for more updates throughout the day from News 3, your weather authority.
Sunny and 49 in Las Vegas. I'm John Shapiro on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, Las Vegas only FM news talk station. With a look at the roads, here's John Michaels.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. An accident on the 95 southbound at Craig Road, still a factor near the clearing stage, but still part of the slowing area. And also an accident now reported 95 northbound at Rainbow at Summerlin Parkway. That's going to be an off-ramp issue. Slowing on 15 southbound, delays approaching Washington to Tropicana. Northbound I-15 still heavy between the Southern Beltway and Flamingo. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortero. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortero. News 3 live at 11.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
As soon as I got to law school, I realized this is what I've been waiting for.
We call our clients, we hold their hand.
Sam and Ash, your personal injury attorneys. Find them at samandash.com.
If you call our office, you will be talking to an attorney. Most often it's Sam or me. It's just invaluable talking to someone right away.
Ashley and I are just regular people. We're listeners.
Find out more at samandash.com or call 1-800-304-2000. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
The client is first. That's just how it has to work.
It's a crime. Most Americans living today have never held a hefty, gleaming U.S. silver dollar.
Well, silver dollars are hard to find.
That's because in 1918, the U.S. government melted down nearly half of the entire mintage, over 270 million silver dollars. But a limited number of these silver coins were rescued, and now they're available, courtesy of govmint.com.
Wow, look at the detail on this silver coin.
That's a Morgan silver dollar. It's a real U.S. vintage silver dollar. It dates back to 1921.
It's nearly 100 years old, but it still looks amazing. How can I purchase these beautiful silver coins for myself?
To find out how to secure your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar at our exceptional government price, call 1-800-456-2466. Call now, and we'll give you a free catalog just for calling. Call now to get your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar, plus your free catalog just for calling. 1-800-456-2466. That's 1-800-456-2466.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Vegas? How's it going? It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. All the news, sports, entertainment of the day from a Vegas perspective. That is what we do here, and another fun show lined up for you. What is today? Today's Thursday, isn't it? Yes, it is. So we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we'll get to the impeachment trial here in a second. But coming up here at the bottom of the hour, always fun to get into it with some of these NRA guys. And the guy who is the Western Director of the NRA, big-time position over there, Dan Reid, will be joining us coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Pat Mahomes has said some controversial things in the past. I wouldn't call them controversial, but a lot of people are very upset about Pat Mahomes, especially African Americans, when it comes to his tweets years back in regards to the Zimmerman-Trayvon Martin situation. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's our Dirty Dining segment with Darcy Spears from ABC 13 in hour number 2. Hour number 3 is going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to talk to this guy for a very long time. His name is Lawrence Weekly. He's a Clark County Commissioner for District D. And he is a big part of what is going down as far as the NFL draft here in Las Vegas. He went to the NFL draft last year just to try to come up with some ideas, and he's going to give us the rundown and the lowdown. There's some people in the local media that are saying, well, this is going to happen. We think that's going to happen. Well, that's why we have Lawrence Weekly on, because he is one of the main people that are responsible for putting this huge NFL draft party together in Las Vegas. So he is going to talk to us about that coming up in hour number 3. I did mention this yesterday. And me and our producer, Jason Stein, we went over to the AVN Expo. That is the porn expo. It is in town. The porn awards are in town. And, it's not just about porn stars. They're actually selling a lot of products. And there's a lot of different things you could buy, a lot of different gadgets, so to speak. And the guy that is going to be coming in studio, not literally, he's coming in studio. His name is Matt Long. Is that his real name? I wonder if that's his real name. Matt Long. It sounds like a porn star name. But anyway, he sells sex pills. His website is freesexpills.com. And he's going to be joining us in the studio. Listen, this is a huge business, not just in Las Vegas, throughout the world. So we're going to talk to him about that. Are there dangers to taking some of these pills? Do they really actually work? So we'll talk to him coming up in studio in hour number 3. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you something that's not a lot of fun for this country. It's not a lot of fun for both Republicans and Democrats. It's certainly not a lot of fun for Donald Trump and his administration, and that's this impeachment trial. And there's a lot that went down yesterday. Adam Schiff made his opening statements, his remarks. And I want to talk to you about something that's extremely troubling. Now, you could think this is a sham. You could think that this is a sham from the Democrats. But when it boils down to it, if you're not a biased individual, you can see it in a very simple way. If Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong, then why are the Republicans really blocking all different sorts of subpoenas for evidence if the president didn't do anything wrong? I think anyone who's not biased can put 2 and 2 together and kind of figure that one out. But, these GOP senators took an oath, okay? And there are rules in place. They are not allowed to leave the chambers for more than a few minutes, maybe to stretch their legs or an emergency where they have to go to the restroom. There's a reason why there are rules and laws put in place. But yesterday, a large block of Republican senators skipped large portions of the impeachment trial, completely disregarding Senate rules requiring them to remain in their seats during the proceedings. Michael McAuliffe is a journalist who was in the room when all this took place, a non-biased journalist. And by the way, there are other journalists who say he was 100% correct in his reporting. He counted 21 empty seats on the GOP side of the Senate, 2 on the Democratic side, a couple hours into Adam Schiff's presentation. He said some have been out of the chambers for a very, very long time. What does that mean, folks? Well, I'll tell you what that means. Remember, these are your elected officials. These are the people that are representing this country. That means more than 1/3 of the 53 Republican senators that were tasked with deciding the president's fate all missed the same segment of the historic trial. Among those absent from the actions for a long time include Senator Lindsey Graham, Bill Cassidy, and Jim Rich from Idaho. And while Graham had already publicly stated his belief that the impeachment proceedings were a sham and backed a plan to have the charges against President Donald Trump dismissed with a pretrial motion, Senator Cassidy on Tuesday said he planned to listen to both sides with an open mind. Well, guess what? He kept leaving. How is that possible? And by the way, You want to talk about a man who is more two-faced than Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is seen at the end of the proceedings today going up to Schiff. And he tells Schiff, good job, very well spoken, and shakes his hand. You want to talk about someone who is more two-faced than anybody in politics, and that's a strong term to use. And there are pictures and there is video of this. He goes up to Schiff and he tells him what a good job he did. What a phony piece of garbage Lindsey Graham is. Another journalist who was here covering the proceedings inside is John Ward. He said Schiff hit the 2-hour mark. More than a dozen GOP senators have left Senate chambers in the cloakroom, whatever the hell that is. All Dems, I believe, remain in the chamber. Senator Bennett gestures with his hand as if to say, what's with that? Because rules require senators to be at their desk for the entirety of the trial. I seem to say this almost every day now the last few weeks, and I'll say it again. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not. How can anybody support this? How is anybody okay with this? Regardless of whether you agree with this trial or not, these senators, there are rules and laws put in place. They have to remain in their seats, period. They did not do that yesterday. Do you really think these Republican senators really want to know the truth? They probably already do know the truth. Do you really think they really want to know what's going on? Do you really think they want to hear Adam Schiff? And by the way, I did think Adam Schiff did a pretty good job yesterday, but I mean, it comes down to this. Like I said, it's pretty simple here. There are many witnesses. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of text messages that the Democrats want to subpoena. There's more information that needs to be put out there. You could make the argument that the information that is already out there could and should be enough to say that the president committed a crime. But with that being said, the fact that Republicans are trying to block literally, and they're probably going to be successful, everything. It's unprecedented. And in an impeachment trial, they have never, ever not called up a witness.
They're totally successful. I mean, they've blocked 11 different amendments to the impeachment hearings by the Democrats so far successfully, 11-0.
Which is absurd. I think anybody who's non-biased would say, well, let's just try to get all the information we can and make the case.
But that being said, the House did the exact same thing to the Republicans. They didn't let the Republicans do anything. They blocked all the Republican witnesses.
What do you mean?
When the House impeached Donald Trump. And so the Senate's doing the exact same thing the House already did. And the House is getting angry about it.
But this is a trial.
I understand.
It's discovery, and they're trying to come up with information and evidence to put forth here. And listen, there's one thing where I do disagree with Democrats on. If these idiots on the right want to call up Hunter Biden, which has no bearing in whether Donald Trump committed a crime or not. I mean, Hunter Biden's not going to give you any information. If they want to call in Hunter Biden and they want to smear the Bidens, because that's really the only reason why they would do that. If they want to call Hillary Clinton or whoever else they want to call, I say let them do it.
They would call in Hunter Biden because clearly Donald Trump, and this isn't the first time that a president has withheld funds, Brian. Obama
for political gain?
Obama did it 6 or 7 times. Who says this? Hold on. Who says this is for political gain?
The Democrats and half the country.
Okay, so it's not half the country. It's
yes, it is.
It's not 72% like Reuters says. These polls are totally, completely inaccurate.
Fox News, according to Fox News and CNN polls, we are divided on this issue, and half the country thinks the president committed a crime. So I don't know where you're getting your stats from, but we're very divided on this issue. It's among political party lines.
He wanted to make sure that the money was being spent properly, and that it's possible that Hunter Biden, who was on the board of Burisma, and Burisma may have been involved in corrupt activities, that there wasn't a connection there. And what they'll do by bringing Hunter Biden up to the stand, if that does happen, is they will basically make that case for, yes, this is why I investigated this particular situation. And it's a little odd because the election was it 16 or 18 months away when this happened, Brian? This was July of 2019.
Yeah, correct? So I would make the same argument. It's a little odd that he brings up the Bidens.
Well, Joe Biden was not his guaranteed opponent. He was in the lead, but he was not his guaranteed opponent. And the election was still 16 months away. And now, if this happened 3 months before the election, if this happened will say in 4 months from now, okay, I can understand that.
Doesn't have to be his guaranteed
There is
opponent.
no guarantee that he was the opponent.
Okay, so he doesn't.
But he was a 30-year sitting politician.
Okay, well, here's
his
what
son was getting paid $60,000 a month,
which is there's no proof that that was illegal.
As an American citizen,
We've heard this before.
by the Ukraine.
I understand.
Exactly. So
We've heard this before.
So what they'll do is they'll say, well, the investigation into Burisma we feel was not thorough enough, and House Democrats were involved, which they were. So we're going to basically recreate that investigation in this impeachment trial by bringing up Hunter Biden, and that'll justify why Donald Trump was completely in the right in looking into where that money was going, and if there was any type of corruption between Hunter Biden, Burisma, the Ukraine, and Joe Biden.
Okay, so you said a lot there.
I absolutely did.
Here's what I'll respond to. I'll try to respond to everything because, like I said, you said a lot. This is not about the Bidens. This is not a trial about the Bidens. It's a trial about Donald Trump. There is no evidence to support the fact that the Bidens committed a crime. Even if they did commit a crime, the Republicans are still trying to prove that Donald Trump did not withhold aid for political gain. So regardless of whether Hunter Biden gets up there and he makes himself look like a fool, and if the Republicans try to smear the Bidens, it doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of evidence put forward that Donald Trump did withhold aid for personal gain. So I think that's very, very important to note. This isn't the Bidens. The Bidens are not on trial. It's Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton's not on trial. It's Donald Trump. And the fact that the Republicans are blocking all these witnesses from coming forward. And by the way, it's not just the witnesses that they're blocking. Look at all the paperwork and the text messages and all the evidence that the Democrats want to see come forward that the Republicans are blocking. If Donald Trump, it's a very simple question. It's very simple. If Donald Trump didn't break the law, and if those Republicans believe that Donald Trump is going to be exonerated, then why not let witnesses testify? Why not allow Democrats to have this evidence put forward if it does, in fact, exonerate the president? And by the way, yesterday they used the president's own words against him. Donald Trump has said in months past he wants Pompeo to testify. He wants Mulvaney to testify. He wants Bolton to testify. He's said that in the past, and they played that audio yesterday. If that is in fact true, then why is Donald Trump advising everybody to not testify? Why is Donald Trump advising his attorneys to block everything? He bragged about it yesterday in a tweet, Donald Trump did. We're not giving them any information. Well, you say you're not guilty. You say you're innocent. You call it a witch hunt. If that's the case, then why are you blocking the information for the American? It's not just about the Democrats. It's for the Americans to see. If, Mr. President, if you didn't do anything wrong, let us see all the documents and let the witnesses talk. The only logical explanation that I could come up with, the reason why Donald Trump is doing this is because it will show that he is guilty of a crime. Period. End of story. Just like any other trial, when the defense tries to block evidence from coming forward because it could hurt their client, and this would hurt the client, which is the President of the United States. So we could talk about Hunter Biden and the Bidens for hours. The bottom line is, if they want to open up a separate trial and reopen up an investigation, that is a different conversation. We're talking about whether Donald Trump committed a crime or not. That is why we are at where we are at right now. And the fact that they are blocking all this information, and the fact that 21 senators yesterday, this pisses me off, 21 Republican senators yesterday left the chambers for a decent amount of time, long periods of time, is a joke, and it is embarrassing. And they are all an embarrassment to this country.
What about the fact that Schiff was in touch with the whistleblower well before any of this happened?
That is a completely different conversation.
That Schiff has been basically manufacturing the transcript to create a narrative to make Donald Trump look the way he's apparently looking right now.
What do you mean? What do you mean? The document is out there for everybody. Nothing was manufactured. The document is out there. In fact, you can make the argument that the White House didn't put forth the entire transcript, that they left some things out. I think you can make that argument.
There was a couple of ellipses in that transcript, yes.
Okay, so you can make that argument. But let's take some phone calls. Let's see what you guys think about this. What do you think about 21 empty seats? 21 empty seats. A third of the GOP senators leaving the room during Schiff's speech. Does anybody have a problem with that? Does anybody think that's an issue? Maybe you don't. 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to join the program, give us a call, 702-257-5396. I did want to share with you I find it to be a funny moment, and it involves Mike Pence, and it involves a handshake or lack thereof with Prince Charles. So they were both attending an event yesterday, And the prince walking through all these dignitaries and walking through all the, these presidents and all these dignitaries for all these countries. And Mike Pence is sitting there with his wife, and they stand up, and Prince Charles is walking through this line. It's all over social media, and he's shaking everyone's hands. He looks at Mike Pence and his wife, and he just snubs them both. It's really funny. It's on TMZ if you want to check it out. It's quite funny, actually. But, there's photos in the past of the prince talking with Mike Pence, but this was one of those moments that I found to be very, very interesting because he looks right at Mike Pence, Prince Charles, doesn't shake his hand, nothing. Same thing with his wife, nothing. Just continues to walk past both of them. I don't find this to be an accident. You can tell sometimes whether it's an accident or not. This was no accident. It was a very awkward and I find to be a very funny situation. Anyway, let's get to your phone call. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Phil. Phil, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Phil?
Hey, good morning. Listening to your comments, and I have a thought. To my knowledge, in terms of jurisprudence in criminal law, it is the prosecution's responsibility to prove your guilt. It is not those who are accused. It's not their responsibility to prove your innocence. The problem here in constitutional situation and for impeachment, it is clear that the House of Representatives has the responsibility to impeach the president. But that is where the trial or the grand jury, if you will, takes place. Once the charges are then obtained by whatever evidence is confiscated through legal matters, is then
Phil, understood.
To the Senate for trial.
Phil, understood. But don't you think they're making it a little difficult when they pretty much block any type of evidence from coming forward? Phil, what do you think of that?
That's not the point.
What do you mean that's not the point?
Brian, they're actually following the law.
It is the House's responsibility to do their job to obtain whatever records are necessary to prove their case.
Phil, you're telling me it's not the point for the prosecution to try to get as much evidence necessary to prove their case? You're telling me you're okay with the Republicans blocking all witnesses from testifying, documents and text messages, and you say, quote, that's not the point? What do you mean? That's exactly the point of the prosecutors, to get as much evidence as possible to prove their case.
Okay, hang on. Let me say my point. It is the House's responsibility to do that research. It is the House's responsibility.
What do you mean research? What do you mean research?
I'm talking about if they need documents or they want witnesses, then they provide subpoenas.
They did.
They go to court.
They did.
This happened against Nixon.
They did.
Before he resigned. This happened against Clinton. And the lawyers.
Phil, they did.
Were a part of the conversation.
They did put the subpoenas forward.
Lawyers in 71 of 78 days.
Phil.
To fight this. And they did not subpoena. They even dropped their subpoena.
Why are we talking about what happened years ago?
Was even brought forward.
Again,
how about this?
Okay.
You make a subpoena for a person, and then
they
drop it. They dropped
Phil,
the subpoena.
Again, we're getting into the weeds here. I don't want to talk about what happened years ago. I want to talk about what's happening right now.
I'm talking about this one.
Okay, they put the subpoenas forward. Okay, Phil. Okay, so let me ask you a very basic question because I feel like we're getting into the weeds. You don't think that you want to hear from John Bolton and Mulvaney? You don't think that should be evidence put forth to either exonerate the president or guilt? You don't think that's important? You don't think that's important in this case?
I don't care to hear these, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear.
The charges that were brought forth by the House of Representatives for this impeachment contain no crime. Their obstruction of Congress is not a crime.
Okay,
abuse of power is not a crime.
Not true.
You want to talk about abuse of power? Let's talk about Bush sending people to Afghanistan or Iraq.
First of all,
congressional approval.
Okay. Phil, first of all, you're 100% wrong. Abuse of power can be a crime. I don't know where you're getting your information from. If it is proven, and if John Bolton took the stand and said, yes, there was a quid pro quo, and Donald Trump said, we are withholding the aid because I want an investigation into the Bidens first, that is absolutely against the law. I don't know where you get your information from, but you are 100% wrong. And the fact that you can't say on the air right now that you don't think that Bolton testifying and Mulvaney testifying is important to both sides in this case is absolutely buffoonery, and it is ridiculous. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. It's almost like saying, questioning Monica Lewinsky back in Bill Clinton back in the day is not important to the case. I mean, that's how ridiculous you sound. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next on the Vegas Take.
What's up,
Yeah,
Brady?
good morning, gentlemen. Short bus. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man.
Hey, one thing though is if anybody that needs to be called in is Eric Taramella, who's the one who started this along with Adam Schiff. Them two solely are behind this whole
It's those
series,
two. It's
and
those two, not them two. Yeah, go ahead.
Lip part crap that they do every day. There is Adam Schiff is going to be sent to prison after all this. The little
Would you like to
inchworm
make a
is going
bet?
to jail.
Would you like to make a bet?
Yeah, I'd like to make a bet.
All right, so let's do this with your ridiculous claim. I'll tell you what. How long do you think before Adam Schiff goes to jail, Brady?
Real soon. Maybe how about 6 months?
6 months. Okay, so let's make a deal, Brady. Tell me what you think about this. I'll give you 6 months. So let's see. It's January now. February, March, April, May, June. Let's give you till the end of June. If Adam Schiff if Adam Schiff goes to jail before the end of June, you can call into this show, and for a week, I will say how wrong I am and how right you were and how smart of a guy you are. If you're wrong, you will call into another right-wing talk show on this station, any show you want, and say how much you love the Vegas Take and how Brian Shapiro is such a great guy and he's always right. What do you think about that?
That's a deal, Brian. I agree with you.
All right.
End of.
It's not
going to happen. Though,
Okay. Well, we'll see about that, Brady. I appreciate the phone call. We have a deal on the radio, and I will give you till the end of June. There is no chance in hell that Schiff is going to be in jail, but we have a somewhat of a handshake. See, I just gave you a handshake, but guess what? Prince Charles couldn't even give Mike Pence a handshake yesterday. What do you think about that? 702-257-5396. Hey, I'm a man of my word. If I'm wrong, have I ever lost a bet on the air yet with some of our callers? I don't think I have, JD. Have I?
No, I think you're like 4-0 so far.
I'm pretty good. Yeah. I'm pretty good so far.
No, but Trump is going to go after Schiff.
But he's not going to jail, JD.
Hard.
JD.
Well, I mean, we'll see about that. I don't hate Brady's odds here, but I would have asked for probably plus 150.
Well, we're not doing a money bet.
I know.
I think that's illegal to do that on the air. But what we were doing was a bet, and I'm going to make him call into another show and say how great I am. That's going to happen, JD. 257-5.
He might do that already, Brian.
No, he certainly doesn't.
How do you know?
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Lisa. Lisa, you're up next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Lisa?
Hi, how are you?
Good, Lisa.
Doing well.
What's on your mind?
Okay, so here's the thing. You're never going to win or try to get your point across to these Trump supporters. They're blind to what's in front of them. They don't want to see it. They don't care what anybody else has to say. They don't care about the Constitution.
Right.
And they definitely don't care about the country.
Lisa, here's a
What they
perfect
care
example.
about is that they follow Trump.
Lisa,
That's what they care about.
You're right. Here's a perfect example, Lisa, of what you're talking about. The 21 idiots, Republican senators that left during Schiff's speech yesterday. That's exactly the type of people that, yeah, it is disgraceful. And these are the people that represent us. Yeah, it is.
They represent us. And if we get up on our job and just walk off for a few hours, we wouldn't have a job.
Yeah. Hey, Lisa,
So
what
needs to happen.
You're right. What if I just get up and leave for 20 minutes because I want to stretch? Let's just have dead air. I mean, I guess there's some people on the right that would probably prefer that, right, Lisa? But Lisa, you made some really good points. You made some good points.
Try that in a real court of law.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, try in a real court of law, blocking any type of evidence or witnesses that are put forward. Lisa, I appreciate the phone call. Good to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Good call, Lisa.
She's right. She's right. In what job can you just leave for an hour, the most important part of your day, and go to the, what is it, the cloakroom? Is that what they called it? I don't know. Lindsey Graham is such a phony, and all of his other cronies over there. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I promise you this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to talk to this guy for a long time. He is the Western Director of the NRA. He's in town for this big gun show that's going on. Dan Reid from the NRA joining us next on the Vegas Take right after this.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Hey, I'm Reagan, and I am Westar Credit Union. You may not have heard of us, and that's okay. Our team has the same products and services you'd find at one of the bigger banks, and we're small enough to know you by name. At Westar, we're not about flashy football TV ads or big intimidating voiceovers. We're here for you. Wherever you are on your financial journey, Westar Credit Union is where you matter. Check us out at westar.org/join.
Special report Trump impeachment trial. Just minutes away from another long day in the U.S. Senate, day 2 of the prosecution's 3 days to make their case why senators should vote to remove the president from office. Pennsylvania Democrat Bob Casey.
I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but I have not seen any person yet in the House proceedings who was under oath who made the argument for the president. Nothing wrong, a perfect call, all of that. I don't know of anyone who's been under oath doing that.
While Democrats are calling for witnesses and documentary evidence, correspondent Phil Mattingly says they don't yet have the votes.
The general understanding right now on the Hill is there are 3, right? You know, Senator Mitt Romney has said he wants to hear from Ambassador John Bolton. You know, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski of Maine and Alaska have made clear that they are very open and very likely to vote to consider witnesses and additional evidence. The big question is that 4th.
Leaving a big challenge ahead for Democrats. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Slowing for the crash 95 northbound at Rainbow at Summerlin Parkway, the off-ramp. Also a crash 95 southbound at Craig Road, now in the clearing stage, and watch for possible slowing due to police activity. Also on the 95 southbound at the Spaghetti Bowl. On the surface streets, a crash reported Elkhorn at Buffalo. Injury sustained, police and fire were the scene. Is your family ready for cold and flu season? The flu brings a fever, so be prepared with a thermometer you can trust. The Exergen Temporal Scanner, backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Visit Exergen.com. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
This station is conducting a weekly test of the Southern Nevada, Inyo County, California Operational Area Emergency Alert System. This is only a test.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-244-6060. That's 800-244-6060. 800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, and God, I love that band Pearl Jam. You know, coming out of Seattle, and we have this horrible story. Last night in Seattle, I believe 7 people injured, 1 person killed, and another shooting. You know, gun violence. It's a big issue throughout the country, throughout the world, really. But it's certainly up in the United States, certainly in Chicago, a lot. But you know, listen. You know, I'm the first person to always blame the person who pulls the trigger. I talk about gun responsibility all the time. I think there's a lot of things we need to do as a nation to bring people together and to try to figure out why we're having these mass shootings. Why is there so much gun violence? And a great person to talk about this is Dan Reid. Dan Reid is the Western Director of the National Rifle Association. I know he's in town, and he joins us right now on the line. SHOT Show in town as well, bringing a variety of outdoor enthusiasts to Las Vegas. Dan, I really do appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So a lot to get to in a short period of time. What do you think is What do you think is the biggest misconception from people like myself that say on the air every day that we need stronger background checks? We need red flag laws. We need to get some of these assault weapons off the streets. What do you think is the biggest misconception that maybe frustrates you?
You know, when it comes to firearms and firearm laws, I'm a native Californian. Actually, I do work throughout the West, and people point to California. That's a state that gun control supporters really look to as the example of laws. And California has more than 800 firearm laws on the books. It ranges all across the board on different topics. It transcends the penal code, the vehicle code, you name it. And not only is there a whole set of statutes that gun owners have to comply with, but there's also an entire regulatory body. It's completely overwhelming and confusing. And a couple of years ago, there was an initiative that passed there along with some legislation requiring background checks on ammunition. I don't know if you've been following this story at all, but that went into effect this past July, on July 1st. And what has been happening with that is law-abiding gun owners have been being denied the ability to purchase ammunition because it's so burdensome and the system is so broken. So in a short time, we actually have some litigation that we're supporting on this. There was 360,000, 370,000 checks over about a 3 or 4 month period. And of those, there was over 60,000 denials. And of those 60,000 denials, only 100 or just over 100 people were actually prohibited possessors. So the other 59,000 plus were actually law-abiding citizens, and they're being denied their constitutional right based on clerical errors or a mismatch in information that's in the
Dan,
system.
I'm on your side.
And that's what we see. What we see with a lot of these laws is we're not actually going after the criminal misuse of firearms, but we're putting more restrictions on law-abiding citizens. They're trying to make it more difficult, more costly, more burdensome. In fact, there's a bill up in California today to put an excise tax on firearm purchases along with an unspecified percentage on ammunition purchases, and that goes in addition to the already $60+ $70 that it takes to purchase a firearm for a first-time firearm purchaser in the state of California before you ever factor in the cost of the gun. So we're really seeing the onus is on the law-abiding while they're ignoring that criminal element and not going after those guys.
All right, that's fair enough. And listen, let me make no mistake about it. I'm on your side where if you're a responsible person, you've never committed a felony, there are no mental issues going on in your head, and that's something we'll get to in a second. I am all for everybody being able to protect themselves. I think the issues that I have are the type of weapons that are being sold, doing a better job in detecting mental illness, and red flag laws. Let's start with red flag laws, Dan, if that's okay. I look at the Parkland shooter. And I think the police were called to his house 48 times. He shouldn't have been allowed to buy a gun. So let me ask you this question. God forbid, right, if let's just say, I don't know, somebody in your family's working, your wife or whoever, God forbid, I'm just putting a hypothetical out there, and somebody at her work threatens her life, not just through words face-to-face or hearsay, but through a text message. You have the proof. You call police. Maybe that person or persons are arrested. Are you okay with them getting out of jail within 24 hours and legally purchasing a gun in that specific situation?
So I think that with the hypothetical, there are criminal type statutes as far as, terroristic threats, et cetera, that could be utilized. But see, the problem with red flag laws is we're not taking away a person's rights based on a criminal conviction or a mental adjudication, but it's based on third-party allegations. And our biggest problem when it comes to red flag laws is the lack of due process, because they can be done in an ex parte order. So a person may have no knowledge that this is going on, and then law enforcement's going to show up at their house and confiscate their firearms, and they're going to have a hearing several weeks later. In some respects, it almost works contrary to some of the policies that we're pushing with law enforcement as far as de-escalation, because this could actually be an escalating situation when law enforcement shows up unannounced at your house. And it's not just a single officer. Generally, these calls go out, and it's a mentally disturbed person that's armed, and so you're going to have a significant law enforcement presence, and that has in some situations. There was a case out of Maryland where that did turn deadly for the person receiving the order. But really, the focus on this is the lack of due process on the front end, is that guilty until proven innocent feature. And so we're seeing expansions. I mentioned California earlier on the red flag law. They were one of the early states to implement red flag laws a few years back, and they've continued to grow that program. So originally, the reporters were family members and law enforcement. And now that's grown. Just this past year, they signed it. So now you have coworkers, you have school employees, et cetera, that could go and pursue these orders, as well as they've extended the duration that they can be in place for up to 5 years.
No, I get it.
Which is a long time for someone that hasn't ever been convicted of a crime or adjudicated mentally ill.
Yeah.
One of the other issues is we say you are so dangerous with these red flag laws that you cannot own or possess a firearm, but then we do no follow-up. We don't address any other element of dangerousness this person possesses. So we say you are so dangerous that you can't have a gun, but have a nice day. We don't do a mental health evaluation.
Well, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, and when you look at what we have on the books here in Nevada, we have a Legal 2000. And so if someone is going through a mental health crisis, law enforcement, before the red flag law was passed, has the ability to go and pursue a Legal 2000, actually get a mental health evaluation, do it.
I'm with you.
Make sure
no, listen, Dan, I'm sorry. I'm with you on that. Okay. But, and I think we agree on most of this stuff.
Sure.
I think here's where we disagree. You're talking about due process. Okay. You're talking about you feel like it's guilty until proven innocent. Okay. You would have to agree with me. This is a case-by-case basis. And if you have a husband that is leaving voicemails or text message his wife that he's going to kill her when he gets home, I don't think that wife or her family wants to hear about due process. I think at the very least, we need to put some laws in place so when that husband gets out of jail within 24 hours, and that's probably what it would be if you threaten somebody's life, he should not be allowed to carry a gun under any circumstances until he gets a psych evaluation. And again, every case is different. I agree with you. Give this guy a mental evaluation. But I'm sorry, Dan, I am not comfortable with a man or a woman who threatens their spouse and their life, and there's evidence to prove it, them getting out of jail within 24 hours and purchasing a gun and talking about due process. I am not personally comfortable with that.
And I, as I mentioned, there are laws on the books to deal with terroristic threats that you could go after someone and go after and suspend their rights or take away their rights because
it's not going to happen overnight, though.
When you're making
it's not going to happen.
Type threats.
But it's not going to happen within 24 hours. It's not going to happen immediately. When that guy or gets out of jail, he can purchase a gun. I think Republicans and Democrats need to work together. I hear you and I agree with you. In some instances, it's not fair, and there needs to be due process. But I think there are extenuating circumstances. And again, I think it's a difficult, slippery slope. I get that, but I think it's a case-by-case basis. I just wish Republicans and Democrats can work together. That's all.
Well, and you know, it's funny you bring that up. So if you look at how the red flag laws was passed in the state of Nevada, there was a standalone bill on red flag laws, but that bill actually died, failed to meet the deadlines. And so the way the red flag law was brought up in Nevada is there was an omnibus bill, and there was a single hearing on it earlier in the session. Red flags was not a part of that bill. And then later on in the session, red flags was inserted, but the language and the actual legislation was not made available to the public until minutes before the hearing.
That's
so
absurd.
A hearing got scheduled on this. And so now we have a brand new concept that gets introduced. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch this hearing, but you saw the proponents of the bill presenting the bill. You saw lawmakers up behind the dais there who were looking at a piece of legislation for the very first time. And the proponents were saying, well, on page 2, line 4, and there was confusion on who had the right version and the wrong version in this hearing. And so in our citizen legislature, we need transparency, especially with a significant change to our laws such as this that you know deals with due process issues.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, Fourth Amendment issues, et cetera. I mean, it touches a lot of different areas. We should have had full hearings. There should have been ample time for people to evaluate this bill and look at the different issues that may have been presented rather than keeping this in the dark, inserting it at the last minute, passing it through and jamming it all the way to the governor's office. That's not a good way to make policy in the state. And so you talked about where can there be bipartisanship? Where can people that support these orders and not support these orders come together? Well, it's very difficult to have a good conversation when the language and the bills are being hidden.
I agree with you there. And listen, you use the term transparency. I could not agree with you more, but I want transparency across the board. Your director of the NRA has had many closed-door meetings with the President of the United States. Boy, I would have loved those conversations to have been public. I agree with you. I want transparency across the board. Let's talk a little bit about responsibility. I think we're going to agree on this one. Let's go back to the horrific Connecticut shooting where all those young kids lost their lives at the hands of a nut, okay? Now, that mother who lost her life, okay, she was a gun owner. She purchased those guns legally. Her son was mentally deranged. I think we can all agree on that. She not only taught her son, who couldn't even have a conversation with someone, she taught her son how to shoot a gun, and her son had access to guns in her house. That is the opposite of responsibility. I think we'll agree on that. We need to talk about this because if you're a parent and you're giving your kid who you know is mentally ill access to guns, those parents should go to jail. Sadly, it cost her life. But I think this needs to be talked about more in society, whereas just because you're a responsible gun owner, doesn't necessarily mean you're doing the right things in the home. Would you agree on that, Dan?
I think that people need to take responsibilities, and you can't legislate morality. And obviously, we talked about criminal elements and
right.
Various things early on, and personal responsibility. And there's things that people should take in appropriate steps. Unfortunately, in that situation, as you mentioned, he was mentally deranged and he murdered his mother. There was, reality was obscured in that, and it was just a horrific tragedy. And, everyone's heartbroken across the nation for that, for the families, for everyone. That was a horrible situation.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, and this might be a loaded question. Why is it that Republicans and Democrats cannot work together? Why is it that all these mass shootings listen, this didn't happen, Dan, when you and I were in high school. We didn't have all these school shootings. Number one, why are they happening now? What do you think is the reason for that? And number two, besides, some small bills moving forward, why is it that Republicans and Democrats can't work together and put together some things that most American people would support, like red flag laws, like background checks?
So NRA, we're nonpartisan. We're a single issue organization, and our focus is on our Second Amendment rights. And I think that, like a lot of things in this country right now, it's become incredibly polarized. And you probably see this all the time. People read headlines and they don't really dive in, and where a lot of things get troublesome with certain policies is in the details, right? So like, going back to the red flag laws that were passed here in Nevada, there was just no transparency. There wasn't a good opportunity for people to come together and have a conversation on what that looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I've mentioned our significant issues when it comes to red flag laws as far as due process, lack of mental health follow-up, et cetera. And that kind of goes along the lines of background checks too, right? For a lot of people, that sounds like a good idea, but in reality, there's significant problems with the actual public safety benefits of expanding background checks to private party transfers, right? So if you look at the background check law here, that was question 1 back in 2016, and that was passed through the legislature, again, single hearing jammed through this past legislative session. That type of law, while it may sound good, the actual benefits of it are minimal. In fact, there was a study out of California. So California has had expanded background check for 20 years or so, and Dr. Winnemute out of UC Davis, who heads up the UC Gun Violence Research Center, he did a study on expanded background checks as well as the expansion to certain misdemeanor crimes that are prohibitors in California. And he couldn't show that this had any significant impact on reducing homicides or reducing suicides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some lack of proof there. But the problem is we already have existing laws on the books that actually goes after the bad guys. So if you're a prohibited person and you have possession of a firearm, it's a felony. But if you look at the way expanded background checks work, the penalties, the criminal penalties are not on the person receiving the firearm. It's on the person that is transferring the firearm, right? So if you're a bad guy, if you go and try and buy a gun and someone, on the slim outside chance that a law enforcement officer actually sees that take place, you're not the one that's going to be in trouble under the new statute. You'd be in trouble under the existing statute. And that's actually a much
ridiculous.
easier proposal for prosecutors to go after because, there's a strict liability element. Are you prohibited? Yes.
Sure.
You have a firearm?
Well, that's
yes.
ridiculous.
Felony.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the way expanded background checks work, it's a misdemeanor crime. So it has a 2-year statute of limitations. And so if you did come across a bad guy who had unlawfully acquired a firearm, which we know that bad guys do not follow the law, as they don't follow the more than 800 gun laws in the state of California, for a prosecutor to actually prove that case, they're going to have to say, okay, Mr. Bad Guy, where did you get this gun from? When did you get it? And there's all these significant elements, all for a misdemeanor crime. And it's actually interesting. If you haven't watched the hearing on this, where testimony was limited to 2 minutes on this significant change in state law, one of the lawmakers questioned one of the proponents from the gun control groups, and he's a former law enforcement officer, and he said, I spent decades in law enforcement, and I can't see the public safety benefit. Tell me how you think this is actually going to work. And the attorney that was a proponent there, he said, well, what we're trying to do is create a culture of compliance. That was those are his words. And you kind of think, culture of compliance, what are you trying to do? The idea that you're going to get good guys to comply with this law, because at the end of the day, gun owners, whether we agree or disagree with the law, we're going to go out of our ways to follow laws to ensure that we preserve our rights, while, criminals and those who are intent on doing bad things, they're not going to pay attention to one more law. So that onus is following on the good guys, the law-abiding citizens. And so they're creating that idea of government permission to, let your best friend who has a CCW borrow your firearm to go out to the desert to do some plinking or whatnot. And so it's, let's get together on crime control, not on gun control, right?
Well, I think I understand what you're saying, and that certainly makes sense. I think they could go hand in hand. If you're just joining us, you're speaking with Dan Reid. He is the Western Director of the NRA. He's in town for SHOT Show. JD, go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with you that criminals, they're going to commit crimes no matter what. I have a question about the financial situation of the NRA. There seems to be a common misconception that the NRA is just bringing in tons and tons of money, but it's actually been running at a deficit for quite some time. For example, in 2018, the revenue was $412 million, and the expenses were $423 million. Why is there this giant misconception that the NRA is just making so much money when it actually isn't?
Well, I think the misconception out there is that people say that the NRA represents the gun makers, right? And we don't.
Right.
We have 5 million members. We are a membership organization, and there is actually a group that does represent the industry who's in town this week. And I think we at least need to highlight National Shooting Sports Foundation. There's 65,000 people in town this week for the SHOT Show, which is an industry trade show. There's nothing for sale here. It's all industry. So people are out here. I believe there's 113 countries that are represented. There's a lot of federal agencies, ATF's here, FBI's here. We have a lot of members of our military, law enforcement, as well as all the big brands. And there's a significant economic impact here in the state of Nevada. I believe there's $100 million in direct economic impact from this show for this week here in Las Vegas. And they cover the full gamut. ATF's here to answer questions on regulations. FBI's here. NICS, which is the federal background check system, they're here. There's a ton of compliance areas. There's some really good programs highlighting safety programs and this, that, and the other thing. So it's a phenomenal show. It's a good gathering of professionals throughout the industry to come and see the newest products, some old classics, et cetera, and then have conversations on things.
Sure. Again, Dan Reid joining us, Western Director of the NRA. Dan, we're almost running out of time here, but I want to ask you this question because when we started this conversation, I said, what do you think is the biggest misconception, that Democrats have? So I'm going to go opposite end now, and I'm going to tell you what I think is the biggest misconception of some NRA members and people on the right, and you could tell me whether you disagree or not. I hear a lot of people on the right saying that Democrats are gun grabbers, yet I can't find one politician in office that wants to take everybody's guns away. What they talk about is certain types of weapons, certain types of assault weapons, the types of weapons that were used in the Route 98 festival here in Las Vegas that killed 58 people. 58 people died. The types of guns that were used at Walmart in the El Paso mass shooting, the types of guns that are being used in these types of Route 91. I'm sorry, did I say 98? I apologize. That to me, that is the biggest misconception of people on the right. I've been called a gun grabber before on the air just because I want innocent lives saved. I want every person to be able to defend themselves if they're not a felon and they're not mentally nuts. But at the same time, Democrats are talking about just specific types of guns, weapons of war. Do you think it's fair to say that? Yeah, many people on the right, they call Democrats gun grabbers, where I think the majority of them, especially those in office, are not.
Well, I think that it's unfair to put anyone in a big category, right? There are people out there, and there are elected officials that are okay with taking firearms, right? There was a bill in Virginia just last week that actually got pulled that would take away lawfully possessed firearms that were lawful today with no grandfather clause, no nothing, and take them in. And they're just because there's other proposals that are either limiting or taking away that. And we've seen that again, going back to California, we've had 4 assault weapon bans in the state of California, going all the way back to the 80s and having different iterations over the course of time, all the way to 2016. And some of the legislation may not directly say, hey, we're going to take your gun, but there's the impact of that. So, for example, in California, we have a handgun roster. There has not been a new model semi-automatic pistol available for sale through retailer since 2012. So if you look at handguns that are on the roster in California, no new ones have been added since 2012. So for example, a Glock. I don't know how familiar you are with Glocks, but the most current Glock you can buy in the state of California is a Generation 3 Glock, and they're all the way on Generation X now, right? And that's because of requirements in technology that are just unfeasible. They're not possible. And so, in effect, that has caused this market to shrink, and there is a ban there. We've seen bans on different centerfire semi-automatic rifles, modern sporting rifles, et cetera.
Sure, and I understand.
And so,
yeah, I understand. I'm sorry to interject because we're up against a hard break here, Dan. But
I understand.
I totally understand where you're coming from. Where there are Democrats out there that are trying to ban specific weapons. I guess the point I'm trying to make is there are some people on the right that say that they want to ban every single one of your weapons. But listen, Dan, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I appreciate you making your case. You do it eloquently, and I do appreciate that. And I think this is an important conversation that we all need to have respectfully to one another, even if we disagree. And like I said, I really do appreciate you coming on our show, stating your case. Thank you so much. And we would love to have you on the show again, perhaps down the road, because we really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me on, and I'd love to come back on.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Dan.
That is Dan Reid, the Western Director of the NRA. Unfortunately, I'm up against a hard break. I could have continued to have that conversation with him for a long time, but we appreciate Dan taking some time to join us. We really do. Your thoughts on that? Give us a call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 257-5396. Be back right after this.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Also is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet and our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin. 1015 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas. A Beasley Media Group station.
Trump impeachment trial. As the second of 3 days of the prosecution case unfolds in the Senate trial, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says he'd like to see Hunter Biden testify, but he doesn't buy the argument that Ukraine interfered with the 2016 election.
The president believes that what happened in the Ukraine with the Bidens was inappropriate. Now, whether or not that will withstand scrutiny, I don't know. The president believes that the Ukraine interfered in our election. I can tell you without any doubt, it was the Russians who hacked into the DNC. It was not the Ukrainians.
Democrats have been urging the Senate to allow witnesses and evidence to be entered in the trial, but there's no indication they have enough support to actually get that. Arguments today are scheduled to run for 8 hours and focus on the issue of abuse of power. I'm Mike Moss. Senator Kamala Harris says lawmakers have fairly easy jobs ahead of them as they sit as jurors in the Senate.
There are two things before us. Article 1, which is that Donald Trump abused his power as president by actively asking a foreign leader to investigate an American who happens to be the former vice president of the United States. 2, Article 2, the cover-up of Article 1. Those are the issues before us.
U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is raising its travel alert for the coronavirus outbreak to level 3, recommending people avoid all non-essential travel to Wuhan, China. That's considered the epicenter of the fast-spreading virus that's already taken 18 lives. The Trump administration has created new visa rules aimed at restricting birth tourism, in which women travel to the U.S. to give birth so their children can have U.S. citizenship. The Dow is down 143. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Watch for slowing for the accident on the 95 northbound at Rainbow Boulevard. On the surface streets, an injury wreck reported Elkhorn, just west of Buffalo, and police and fire on scene for another accident injury sustained reported at Hollywood at Sahara Avenue. A crash on Maryland Parkway at Sahara, and one more. It's at the airport connector northbound at the 215 Beltway. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Attention. If you're in debt to the IRS and frustrated with your options, for a limited time you can call and quickly check your eligibility for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problem. Through this special toll-free hotline number, you can find out in minutes if you qualify for these powerful new debt reduction programs green-lighted by the IRS for 2019. If you have unfiled tax returns under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or just want to know your options, business or personal, Republic Tax Relief's A-plus rated tax relief system has helped thousands stop IRS collections immediately and saved millions in tax debt. These relief programs will not last forever. Call the hotline number now, 800-943-1253. That's 800-943-1253. Check your eligibility for tax debt savings today. Call 800-943-1253. That's 800-943-1253.
Hey, it's Tommy Chong. Quick question. What's green and awesome and always puts a smile on my face? That's right. Money! I know everybody's thinking I was going to say pot, right? Okay, now, listen up. If you like money as much as I do, I'm going to be giving some away. Here's the deal. I'm giving away $5,000 of my own money to 5 different people. So that's $1,000 apiece on ifoundtommy.com. Go there and get all the details, but you gotta act fast because I'm handing out money next week. Get all the details and enter to win at ifoundtommy.com.
Get your hands on Tommy's money before time runs out. Go to ifoundtommy.com for details. Thousands of dollars are up for grabs at ifoundtommy.com. Tommy Chung wants to give you his money. Go to ifoundtommy.com for your shot at $1,000. That's ifoundtommy.com.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Rolling out the red carpet for hour number 2. So glad you could join us. We just had Dan Reid, who is the Western Director of the NRA, and we're taking your phone calls on that conversation at 702-257-5396. And look, I get it. Dan represents the NRA. He's not going to say anything that could hurt the NRA, and I totally understand that. I'll give him credit for this. He does a lot better than that witch Dana Loesch used to do. She is just the worst. I thought he made some valid points. We agree on some things, we disagree on others. But the bottom line is, this is about saving lives. And while there are plenty of responsible gun owners out there, gun violence, just too much. We had a situation on the Las Vegas Strip a few days ago. We talked to a witness who was in the mall at the fashion show when shots rang out. She is a tourist. She was in town visiting her family. You want to talk about a scary situation. Well, the good news is that an 18-year-old now is facing 3 felony charges of attempted murder after several people were seriously injured. You want to talk about a very serious situation. We need to know where this guy or this kid, whatever you want to call him, 18-year-old, was able to purchase this weapon, if legally or not. We need to get some of these, not all of them, but some of these assault weapons off the streets. Red flag laws need to be put into place. And when I hear people that are, pro-gun, all they want to talk about is due process. Well, guess what? If a mentally deranged husband has an idea in his head that he wants to kill his wife, and he expresses that to her, I'm sorry, due process is out the window. That person should not be allowed to buy a gun until he is mentally evaluated and deemed safe to society. When you threaten somebody's life and there's proof of that, right there, I don't want that person legally allowed to buy a gun. Now, am I saying that person shouldn't buy a gun for the rest of their life? No. But I'm saying they need to be deemed not a detriment or violent to society before they should be allowed to purchase a gun. This whole idea about due process is all fine and dandy until people get killed. And it's happening on our streets. It's happening all over the place. And 58 people lost their lives in Las Vegas on October 1. And next to nothing has been done since then. It is a disgrace. It is disgusting. And I appreciate Dan Reid coming on the show. But again, what is the NRA? Are they just Second Amendment people? They want to give you the right to defend yourself? Do they also care about innocent lives? I think it's a fair question. Do they care about all these mass shootings? What has been done? I think those are fair questions to ask, and the number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 257-5396. We had this situation in Seattle where shots rang out. 1 person was killed, 7 people injured. We had the situation the other day at the Fashion Show Mall where shots rang out inside the mall, and we had a witness who saw it all yesterday. You're going to be traumatized for life when you see something like that. It's horrible, and it's not going away. Again, that number is 257-5396. What should be done? I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I have some ideas. Let's go to Dylan. Dylan, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What do you make of all this?
What's up, Dylan?
Hey, Brian. Hey, JD. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Hey, I have a couple of thoughts I want to share.
Sure.
I went to high school. I graduated in '83, and back then we didn't have the brick cell phones were just coming out, right? So I didn't even have a cell phone until I was like 21.
Yeah, the Zach Morris cell phones.
Anyway, my opinion is that, and I don't know how this happened, but for example, kids nowadays, they can't even go to an R-rated movie unless they're 17. And I was telling your screener there that, these smartphones came out, and I don't know how it happened, but Google came along, and you can punch in anything. You can punch in boobies, and all of a sudden, children's minds are ruined by tons of free porn, which makes you totally feel worthless. I've been through it before and got away from that, but you know, I don't know how the parents of this country allowed Google to just to 5, 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-olds just have free porn on these phones.
You're saying that it makes the person feel worthless when they're looking at the porn?
Yes, and you've got different strands and genes, so some of those people are going to act out violently, and it makes them kind of deranged.
So you're saying that when you watch porn and you relate whatever you're watching to what you have yourself, you're insecure about yourself, and it makes you angry and it makes you act out?
It doesn't make me. See, I'm not
you.
Well, it's certainly. Hold on.
But
It's certainly
the hypothetical person who's watching the porn.
Watching porn certainly makes me act out. It's called something called masturbation. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, my comment is how did this happen where they can't even go to a rated R movie, but the whole world of children are all of a sudden open to porn? I wasn't when I was a kid. We had no cell phones. So it's going to cause different genes.
All right. So listen, I understand where I sort of.
I would say that cell phones definitely increase the learning curve. You can be exposed to whatever you want.
I sort of understand where you're going with this, Dylan, but I'm sure you would agree. Porn is not the. But porn is. I understand, Dylan, and by the way, I do appreciate the phone call.
Interesting perspective, Dylan.
But I would also say that porn is not the only reason why we're having mass shootings. In fact, I would say. If prostitution was legal, it would actually help us in some way or form.
I've never heard of acting out due to recognizing your own sexual inadequacy.
I've never heard of a man looking at a naked woman online and then all of a sudden he wants to kill innocent people because God forbid he got a boner. Anyway, 702-257-5396.
Well, in the Da Vinci Code, maybe.
Yeah, 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hey, not much. I agree with you on the having to have the mental evaluation, but the only thing I would add to it is the mental evaluation has to be at that person's cost, can't be covered by insurance or anything else. They have to pay out of pocket for that evaluation because, if you can afford to buy a gun, you should be able to afford to
completely agree.
Give yourself a mental evaluation.
Hey, Paul, it's the same thing with cars, right? If you can afford a car, you better be able to afford insurance, right?
Absolutely.
Or gas.
You should have insurance before you can buy the car.
Paul, now that we're on this subject and you bring up a very valid point, I forgot to ask Dan Reid from the NRA this question, but I'll ask it to you. Why is it that you have to get smog checks with your car? You have to go back and get a new driver's license every, 7 or 8 years? You have to make sure that your car is safe for the roadway. But why is it you don't have to re-register your guns and re-register yourself to be capable of firing a gun or owning a gun? I don't understand that, Paul.
I don't either. I think it's a great idea because, I think one thing is the government doesn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have to set up a DMV, but it would be the GMV.
Right.
The gun, whatever. And they'd have to have all kinds of people, and of course they could collect fees on it. But I think besides checking people's, mental state of mind and all this other kind of stuff, they should also check that, is the gun safe?
Yeah, no, those are
things like that. It's something that requires too much responsibility to just be tossed around. Yeah. And I don't think you have to register if you're buying like a shotgun or something. Just because you can't conceal it doesn't mean it's more deadly.
You're right, Paul.
And that part doesn't make any sense either. I think if you're a person that's deranged enough to shoot someone with a handgun, you're not going to worry too much about who's going to see you before you kill them.
I couldn't agree with you more, Paul. You made a lot of good points there. Great phone call.
Good call, Paul.
Appreciate it. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We just had the Western director of the NRA, Dan Reid, join us. We touched on a number of issues. Can't say this doesn't hit home. 58 people lost their lives on October 1. We just had a shooting at the Fashion Show Mall a few days ago. Luckily, thank God, nobody lost their life, but several people were injured. They found the 18-year-old that committed this crime. He's going to be going to jail for a very long time. And by the way, in Seattle yesterday, a 9-year-old in Seattle yesterday was hurt in another shooting. This is an epidemic. gun violence is there, and
shootings
it's not
have been
going
happening-
away.
Shootings have been happening for a long time, Brian, but now every single shooting that happens is sensationalized because of the internet, and it's in your face.
School shootings have not been going on for a
I
long
agree.
time.
School shootings have not been going on.
58 people have not been killed.
But shootings have been going on for a long time.
Okay, but mass shootings have not been going on like they have been going on over the course of the last 10 years. I mean, I know it started with Columbine, but, I tend to disagree with you on that one in a sense that, 58 people in our backyard lost their lives. These types of shootings weren't going on in this country when I was in high school. We didn't have these types of high school shootings going on when I was in high school. Society is changing, and it is changing for the worse, certainly when it comes to gun violence.
I don't know why the shooting in Seattle, the shooting in Las Vegas, obviously the shooting that happened in Fashion Show. And by the way, another shooting happened 3 or 4 years ago. This happens every 3 or 4 years in Las Vegas at Fashion Show in particular, which I do think their security needs to be increased. I love going there. I love shopping there. But what about the insane of inner city violence that happens in a city like Chicago on a consistent basis?
Well, that's part of gun violence.
But that doesn't get enough attention compared to these mass shootings because there is a specific narrative that is trying to be passed that they're trying to push by putting all this media attention behind these types of shootings like in Seattle.
There's different types of violence. Gun violence, that is certainly gang violence.
I mean, I'm talking inner city gun violence is a giant issue, and
of course it's an issue,
and it's all over the country, and it has been for a long time.
Okay,
and it takes many more lives than these particular situations do.
Gun violence has been going on for a long time. There's been a lot of violence in Chicago that has been going on for a long time. Some of these mass shootings have not been going on for a long time. It is an epidemic that has happened over the course of the last decade. They're both issues. I think both need to get the attention because lives need to be saved. 257-5396. Let's go to Lauren. Lauren, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Lauren?
Hey, Lauren.
Hi. You were asking why guns, why aren't they registered every so often? Unlike driving and some of the things that you mentioned, those are privileges. The right to own a weapon is your right.
Not if you're a felon and not if you're mentally ill, it's not.
All right. Those are the things that are within that.
Okay, so let me ask. Okay, so let's go with that. Just like a car can change over the years, maybe it doesn't run as well, maybe it doesn't pass a smog check. I'm sure you would agree. Mentally, you can change over the course of your lifetime as well. Just because you're not mentally ill when you're 21 years old doesn't mean you're not mentally ill when you're 51 years old. It's exactly like a car. Humans change. Some cars stay the same. Some humans stay the same.
Then, is your name Brian?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, then Brian, if you feel that strongly about it, then what you should do is try to put together a thing and change the law.
I'm not a politician, sir. I'm a radio host.
You don't have to be a politician.
So you really think if somebody like Brian on the radio wants to change the laws in this country, hold on, when you have almost every single Democrat in Congress and there's 160 bills sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk, he is doing absolutely nothing about it. But you think all of a sudden Mitch McConnell's going to say, hey, that guy Brian who does a radio show in Vegas, you know what? He's right. I'm going to listen to him, and I'm not going to listen to the millions of people in this country that want Mitch McConnell to take action. Is that your take?
What my take is, Brian, and you do have a following. You have to start someplace, okay? And that's the only point I'm trying to make. I've also had weapons stolen from my house,
which is horrible.
That I got them back 10 years. Or no, I didn't get them back 10 years later. They called me up and let me know that my weapons had been used in several armed robberies.
Which is horrible. Which is horrible. And there are criminals out there, and it's very difficult to police that sort of thing. Lauren, I got to get to some other callers. I appreciate your call, and I appreciate your sentiment. In a perfect world, I would love to push forward and try to come up with some of these laws. I think you get what I was saying. Like a car, a human being can change and evolve for the better or worse over his or her lifetime. I believe if you are a gun owner, every 10 years, you should have a mental evaluation. I think that would save lives in the long run. What do you guys think out there? 702-257-5396. Let's go to Bill. Bill, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Bill?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Coming from New York, that has the land of a lot of gun restrictions, it hasn't curbed up anything. They still run rampant. A lot of the stuff that goes on is used with illegal weapons. They were illegally bought, illegally possessed, and even ones that were modified. It was all illegal. So as far as the legal standpoint of possessing a firearm, when I came here to Las Vegas and I got my CCW, it expires at a certain time. so I have to redo everything. So as far as your thing of a mental evaluation and a fee, they can almost go hand in hand. What would be wrong with that?
All right, well, let me ask you a question then. With all these mass shootings that have taken place, school shootings, should we not do anything? What's your solution?
Well, here's the thing. Where do these mass shootings happen? At a gun-free zone. Should I think that people should have guns in that area? Yeah, because, I mean, you have these politicians that are saying no guns, no guns, no guns, but it's funny how they have armed security.
All right, so let me ask you this then. A guy goes into a Walmart, a nut job, and kills 22 people. Paddock in Las Vegas, okay, kills 58 people. Do you think the reason why Paddock committed that crime was because he was saying, well, maybe I can get in a gun-free zone? No, he did it from his hotel room. Do you think that the reason why the Parkland kid went into that school and
I don't even want to mention his name.
Well, I'm mentioning his name because it's important. It's important to discuss. You're saying the reason why these people
mental stability of them, yes, they should not have a weapon.
I agree. Obviously, we agree on that. But the point I'm trying to make is I don't think, because of the laws put forth in regards to gun-free zones are the reasons why these people are committing these crimes. That's my opinion. Hello? Okay, let's move on to the next caller. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. We're talking about gun control, and we're talking about Dan Reid, who just joined us. He's the Western Director of the NRA. Why on earth would anybody have an issue with every single gun owner in this country, every 10 years, every 20 years, something, having some sort of mental evaluation?
I think it should be a 4-year renewal process.
I would love that. I think that would be, listen, it would save lives, right? And listen, if you want to own a gun, you have to pay for it, just like you have to pay for a smog check. Hey, JD, what does a smog check cost? 20 or 30 bucks?
Mentally, I think it's $16.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Unless you've got, anywhere from
Depends
15
on your
to 20,
car,
exactly, based on your vehicle. But as far as a mental evaluation for the renewal process, you even look through, former social media posts. I think you have to integrate all that stuff right now. And I wouldn't even actually mind it if there was a much more strict process for giving a gun to someone young, under 20 years old, who has an impressionable, growing brain, like the Parkland shooter did.
I agree. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Nikki. Nikki, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Nikki?
Hi. I have to disagree with you somewhat.
Okay.
Mental health is a different issue. It's not a gun issue.
So you're okay with people that are mentally not stable purchasing a gun?
Considering the guns don't fire themselves, someone has to fire them. If someone mentally ill is firing a gun, I think it is absolutely a gun issue.
People that are wrong.
Of course, right. But the people are mentally ill, and they're the ones that have the weapon. So it has to be a gun people issue.
Right. Well, we have to address the mental health issue.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Overall, I agree. It's everywhere. Look at the homeless.
Well, I agree. Listen, we're in agreement, but I don't know why you would say the mental issue and guns don't go hand in hand when many of the people who commit these atrocities and mass shootings are clearly mentally ill. How can you say it's not? Well, okay, so then maybe you want to restate what you said. I think I understand what you're saying. My only point, Nikki, is this. JD said every 4 years. I say maybe every 10 years or 20 years if you're a gun owner. Just like a smog check with a car that costs 20 or 30 bucks, let somebody mentally evaluate you for 10 or 15 minutes. Now, maybe that's not long enough. And let's just make sure you're a normal, stable human being. That's all. That's all I ask.
Well, most of these people that do commit that are mentally ill, though, they have been under a doctor's care or whatever. And if they're on their meds, they can act normal and fool someone that was going to interview them for 15 to 30 minutes.
Listen, I understand. Yes, I do. I do know what you mean, Nikki. And I'm not saying this is a full-blown 100% thing that will get all mentally. Exactly. That's all I'm saying, Nikki. I'm saying it's a start. And my problem is I feel for those families of those 58 people who lost their lives in Las Vegas. I can't imagine the pain they're going through. I just want Republicans and Democrats to come together and just do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know. I'm so opposed to just more laws always.
Well, I mean, you could be opposed. I understand I understand. I agree with you, and I'll tell you what I'm opposed to more than more laws. I'm opposed to more innocent people dying. I understand. Yes. I understand where you're coming from, Nikki. I think we agree more than we disagree. I think so. Yeah. All right, Nikki. Well, I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jason. Jason, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I appreciate the conversation
Sure.
that you had about the issue. my big concern on any kind of mental health check, and the reason I wouldn't support it currently, is who determines the mental health, right? If you look at society and what they're determining is healthy, you know, is it changes. And the pendulum will swing one way, and all of a sudden a Trump supporter is not mentally healthy, and Bernie wins, and a Bernie supporter is mentally healthy. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, certainly I don't want this to be political. All I want is a therapist or a psychologist, the same type of people that do smog checks on your car. Some smog checks are probably better than others, right? I'm sure there are plenty of horrible vehicles that shouldn't be on the road that have passed horrible smog checks. Maybe you tip the guy and they're corrupt. I would imagine there are probably corrupt therapists out there as well. The only point I'm trying to make is smog checks are certainly doing more good than bad. If we had, therapists or psychologists, that are checking people every 4 years or 10 years or 20 years, I think it would do more good than bad. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I understand what you're saying. Like I said, my big concern is who determines it, right?
Well, I understand if you have trust issues. Hey, listen, Jason, in life, it's hard to trust people. I understand what you're saying. I hope it wouldn't be political, but sadly, the reason why laws have not been pushed forward, Jason, is because Republican and Democrats are not working together. Make no mistake about that. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Rick. Rick, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, man?
Well, I just probably the essence of everything you disagree with. I believe in the Second Amendment. 100%.
And so do I. And so do I. Where have I ever said I don't believe? Where have I ever said on this show I don't believe in responsible gun owners carrying weapons to protect themselves? Have I ever said that?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Okay, but no. Have I ever said that? You just said you're a Second Amendment guy. Have I ever said responsible gun owners that are not felons or mentally ill shouldn't be allowed to carry a gun to protect themselves? Have I ever said that on this show?
I don't know, because
the answer is no. Okay, well, the answer is no. You just made so how are you making all these assumptions about me, and you just said you disagree with everything I believe in when it comes to guns when you just turned on the radio? I'm confused.
Because typically people on the left.
I'm not on the left. You just there's your problem. It's not okay. Why is it that
you're not going to let me?
I'm going to let you finish.
You're not even going to let me state my case.
I am going to let you state your case. But this is my problem with people that make assumptions, okay? You're assuming because I want, some specific gun laws on the books that I'm on the left. Guess what, sir? I'm not on the left. I want innocent people to be alive, okay, like you. I want responsible gun owners to be able to protect themselves. Just because I want people mentally evaluated doesn't mean I'm a lefty. Go ahead, Rick, but I just don't appreciate it when people make assumptions about me that are not true. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, great. Excuse me.
No problem. Go ahead.
All right. I'm a former corrections officer, and the charge that we saw more often than not with inmates coming back to prison is ex-felon in possession of a firearm. So the answer to this stuff always seems to be, okay, I'm not talking about you right now.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
From the left, from the media,
yes.
The answer always seems to be, how do we place more burdens, more restrictions on gun owners? And it's never, if the answer was, hey, how do we round up people who have committed crimes? How do we get guns out of the bad guy's hands?
Why can't we do both?
Well, because I don't see myself as the problem. I see people like me as the solution.
Okay.
For instance, you just saw it.
I agree.
In Texas I have a CCW.
Yes.
You saw that guy in Texas, and he killed that asshole who shot those people up.
Okay, watch the language there, buddy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Listen, Rick, I'm not worried about people like you. I'm assuming you're a responsible gun owner. You're a former corrections officer. You obviously know how to defend yourself and hopefully defend others. And I'm up against a hard break, Rick. I apologize. I'm not worried about people like you. You're just thinking about yourself. There's a lot of dangerous people out there. There are a lot of mentally deranged people out there that should never be allowed to purchase a weapon. Those are the people I'm worried about, not somebody like you. You have to take a couple steps back and just understand where I'm coming from. But I appreciate your phone call, Rick. Thank you very much. I am not a lefty. Don't make that assumption. That's all I ask. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. It's our Dirty Dining segment with Darcy Spears.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
So now I've got this pack of 4 Shar-Pei rescue dogs for, oh my goodness, probably 5-6 years. They get a regular diet of Dinovite with every meal. DINOVITE.com. People remark on what beautiful coats they've got. I tell them, you don't need to wait until a problem presents itself. It's far better to keep the dog happy and healthy at all times.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite from DINOVITE.com.
Special report, Trump impeachment trial. Presiding officer, Chief Justice John Roberts.
The managers of the House of Representatives have 16 hours and 42 minutes remaining to make the presentation of their case. The Senate will now hear you. The presiding officer recognizes Mr. Manager Schiff to continue the presentation of the case for the House of Representatives.
Today we'll go through Article 1, the constitutional underpinnings of abuse of power, and apply the facts of the president's scheme to the law and Constitution.
Trial manager Jerry Nadler then began the presentation.
No president has ever used his office to compel a foreign nation to help him cheat in our elections. Prior presidents would be shocked to the core by such conduct, and rightly so.
Nadler says the trial managers will show in the next 2 days the president's conduct rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. I'm Mike Moore.
So now I've got...
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Slowing for a crash reported on Hollywood at Sahara. Injury sustained. Police and fire with the scene. Expect slowing and possible lane restrictions. Also a hit-and-run accident investigation at Lake Mead Boulevard at Walnut. Watch for police presence on scene. And an accident now reported at Sahara at Valley View. No delays to reports. I-15 on the southbound side between the Spaghetti Bowl and the Southern Beltway. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Finally ready for a year you can remember? Let 2020 be the year you finally regain control of your drinking without having to quit completely. Meet LifeBack, a physician-approved, completely private, personalized plan for kicking problem drinking to the curb. Using a combination of medication proven in clinical studies to reduce the urge to overdrink in 92% of people and in-app coaching and support tools, LifeBack makes drinking a choice rather than a habit or need. Every aspect of your LifeBack plan is managed on our mobile app from the privacy of your phone, and medication is delivered discreetly to your doorstep without the need for in-person doctor appointments. Start the LifeBack program now and treat yourself to a 2020 full of sharper focus, better health, saved money, and stronger relationships while still enjoying moderate drinking. Visit lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today to learn more. That's lifebac.com or call 888-959-8858 today. Call LifeBack today at 888-959-8858.
My name is Tom Thornton.
And my name is Cindy Thornton. We're retired, and this is how we live united.
We decided to volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
United Way is how we contribute, because we know our time and money are going to the right places.
Judging by the thank yous we get at the clinic, I'd say we're doing the right thing with our retirement, too. We're Tom and Cindy Thornton. We volunteer at our community free health clinic. We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Akeisha, Manager of Communications at the Shade Tree. We want to thank you, our community, for always supporting our efforts at the Shade Tree Shelter. The Shade Tree offers safe shelter for homeless and abused women and children. We help about 15 families a day, 6,500 families per year, and we can't do that without you. If you want to get involved, please email us at volunteer@theshadetree.org. And if you want more information, check out our website at theshadetree.org. Thanks again to our wonderful Las Vegas community.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Oh, yeah, the great Anthony Kiedis, man. Red Hot Chili Peppers out of Cal. I almost said out of Compton. I don't think the Red Hot Chili Peppers are out of Compton. I think I was thinking of Ice Cube. Anyway, welcome back to the show. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. A lot to get to, by the way, coming up in the next hour. Lawrence Weekly is the Clark County Commissioner for District D here, and he went to the NFL Draft last year. He is a huge part of this big event that is called the NFL Draft that is coming to Las Vegas, and he's going to shed some light on what we can expect. That's coming up in hour number 3. But joining us on the line right now, we love it when we always hear the Dirty Dining from Darcy Spears from ABC 13. She does a wonderful job, and she joins us on the line right now. Darcy, thanks for joining us again. How are you?
I'm good. You guys just like to talk dirty with me. I know how it goes.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Darcy, because it is AVN Expo week, and we do have a company that sells sex pills that are coming in studio in hour number 3. So
we got a theme going here.
We do. Today we do, Darcy. That is definitely true.
Very, very consistent.
I'll tell you the theme that you have, and that is restaurants that break health laws. And the Pearl Walk to Go is, wow, that sounds like a wonderful place. The Pearl Walk to Go. That is a Chinese takeout restaurant on Charleston and Durango, very close to the studios here, by the way. What did you find at this place, Darcy? What were the issues?
Just a whole lot of filth. It's one of those where when we get the request in from the health district, we read the reports and we look at the pictures, and I'm sitting there going through the pictures before we even went there, just making all kinds of sound effects going, ooh, oh my gosh, what is that? Just so much grease and gross.
Ooh.
And just food debris and clutter and dirt and dust and caked on grease, and some of the pictures were so bad that you couldn't even actually tell what you were looking at because it was so just caked in filth and muck.
Wait, so you're telling me you saw pictures of this kitchen and you couldn't even make out what you were looking at because it was that disgusting?
In some of the photos, I'm like, what am I even seeing here? There's there's stalactites of grease on something, and then you could tell maybe it was a piece of equipment or a pipe underneath something, but it just had this layer of black gunk. And it was just very clear that there had not been a deep cleaning at this facility in a very long time. Just about every single surface was so dirty. I'm like, okay, we're filthy dining this week. This is not at all good.
It sounds like my teeth, because I haven't had a deep cleaning in a very long time. All right, so what?
Okay, George Washington.
So what is the end result, Darcy? Here, did they fix anything? Are they back up and running?
Well, they were never shut down, surprisingly, despite the immense amount of excessive yuck that was all over the place and all the different violations, not only, of dirty conditions, but also issues with food temp. I mean, just literally everything was dirty. I think I could have listed everything in the kitchen if I'd have just gone down one thing at a time.
So like 100 demerits?
But also issues with food handling, an employee touching utensils and vegetables in a customer to-go container after handling raw shrimp and not washing hands, stuff that wasn't properly cooled, leaving a cell phone on a cutting board. Despite all of this, they only got a 39 demerit C grade. You have to get over 40 demerits to be shut down. So they avoided shutdown by 2 demerits. They were able to continue operating with a C grade. They still, as of yesterday, had that C grade and had not yet scheduled reinspection. But when we were there, they were in the midst of what's called an intervention training, which is something that the health district requires when it's very obvious, that there's a disconnect between what the health code requires and what a restaurant is doing or understanding.
That sounds necessary. So I have a question. I'm actually dealing with a black mold issue at home right now. But when a restaurant or when somebody that you come in contact with who is, that just ends up on your list has to deal with black mold, what does that remediation process consist of? How long are they shut down for, and how many demerits is that?
Well, it depends on, where the mold is found. For example, there's mold in the ice machine almost every week in dirty dining. You'll find whether it's pink mold or black mold or slime or whatever. And usually that's just a standard clean out that they get going on, and it's not a demerit of any real consequence. It depends, again, if you have a major infestation of mold, if it's gotten into your drywall or whatever, you don't see that as often in restaurants. It's more the mold in the ice machine variety. And if it got into the walls, of course, they'd have to pull out the drywall. Though some places probably, I don't know, but probably just paint over it and make it, oh, look, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Darcy Spears, does her Dirty Dining segment on ABC 13 and joins us every week. Okay, Darcy, let's talk a little sushi. We all love some sushi, right? But apparently at 808, which is located on Durango and Warm Springs. By the way, I'm finding a pattern here. It seems like all these restaurants this week are close to the radio station. What happened? What happened at 808 Sushi that you can tell us about?
So thankfully for them, not nearly as bad as Pearl Walk. Oh, and before we leave Pearl Walk, can I just mention, when I asked what the problem was, the manager said, just not really knowing, understanding the rules and stuff. And I said, how long have you been in operation? And he goes, 15 years.
That's
right? And I'm just like, wait a minute, 15 years and you still didn't understand the health code?
That's only 5,000 days.
That's like me. That's like
potentially dangerous.
That's like me not being able to get in and out of a break, and then the program director asked me, Brian, how long have you been radio? Oh, 20 years. That's all. I mean, that's how ridiculous that is.
Anyway, so yeah, I needed to point that out because that was unbelievable. And then when I said, okay, so what's the program for keeping a clean kitchen? And his answer was cleaning more frequently.
Yeah, it seems like they're really doing a good job with that.
Anyway, so back to 808 Sushi on Durango and Warm Springs.
Yes.
Both the sushi bar and restaurant were shut down. It was an imminent health hazard of no hot water, which the owner called bad luck and bad timing because he said his plumber was already on the way to fix the problem. But water temperature was not the only issue there. Inspectors also found stuff like crab salad in the temperature danger zone. They were preparing food in a blender that was on the floor. I'm not sure why that was the place for the blender. But also dirty cooking equipment, shelves, floors, walls, cutting boards. Food handler not using soap when washing hands, which when you're making sushi is kind of scary. Although that's, of course, scary in any situation. Because you do need soap. It's a thing.
Gosh, yeah. That's what the women that I date keep telling me as well.
Soap matters.
Yeah. Well,
water rinses, but it doesn't clean.
That is very, very true. Well, Darcy, before we let you go, you do such a great job for us. Can you please let us know where we can find you on television, where you air these segments, and where we can find you on social media?
Dirty Dining debuts every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. on 13 Action News Nightside. We re-air it on Thursdays in our 6:30 p.m. half hour. And, of course, it's always available online at ktnv.com. There's a Dirty Dining page there if you want to see previous reports. Also, my Twitter feed at DSPINV13, or, of course, you can look me up on Facebook. I post it on my own professional page every Thursday morning, and the station's got it as well.
Awesome. Well, Darcy, I'm really in the mood for sushi now. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, keep up the great work, and we look up to catching up with you next week, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Darcy.
There you go, Darcy Spears from ABC 13. I'm going to try to run into Peter Chen, who runs the Pearl Walk to Go. And I'm really in the mood to go to that restaurant now, too. Boy, that just sounds absolutely disgusting. Can I get a side of rats and rat poisoning?
That sounds like the dirtiest diner so far.
It's pretty bad. Can I get some rat poo on the side, please? Can you add that to the poo-poo platter? Oh, my God. Ooh, that is just some disgusting stuff. All right. Pat Mahomes made some very, very, well, some people would call it controversial comments. The reason why there are many of African Americans on social media that are very angry at Pat Mahomes right now. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Message and data rates may apply.
What if there were a top-ranked business degree that gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors, but on your schedule? The W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University is now accepting high-quality applicants for its MBA and Business Analytics master's degree programs offered 100% online. Learn more about the top-ranked W.P. Carey business degrees online. Text RANK to to 79645. Again, that's RANK to 79645.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
The opioid epidemic is affecting countless lives, including young adults. Did you know approximately 45% of opioid prescriptions to adolescents are made by dentists, often after wisdom teeth removal? These drugs carry risks, but you can help reduce your risk or the risk for a loved one. If prescribed an opioid, ask your dentist to consider limiting prescriptions to 3 days, using over-the-counter pain relievers, and properly disposing of unused medications. For more information, go to shatterproof.org. This has been a message from Shatterproof, United Healthcare, and this station.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Amid Las Vegas's glitz and glamour lurks the tragedy of homeless veterans, our nation's heroes who return from war but continue to fight a battle for survival on our city's gritty streets. The basic human need of shelter shouldn't be a luxury to military heroes, which is why there is Veterans Village. Veterans Village is a nonprofit organization providing transitional housing, meals, and social services to homeless vets to give them a hand up. Veterans Village is a place of hope, but we can't do it without you. Be a hero to heroes and donate any amount you can afford at vvlv.org. That's vvlv.org. vvlv.org.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, a reminder, coming up here at the top of the hour, Clark County Commissioner Lawrence Weekly will be joining us. Why? Well, he's a big part of the NFL draft here in Las Vegas. He went there last year to watch it, to help him get ready for this year in Vegas. So he's going to give us the rundown on what he expects, what he's working on for the NFL draft coming up soon right here in Las Vegas. Clark County Commissioner Lawrence Weekly here in just a few minutes, and then you're not going to want to miss 11:30, our segment. His name is Matt Long. He's in town for the AVN Expo, the Adult Entertainment Expo. Sex pills. He runs his own sex pills company. Are they dangerous for you? Do they really work? We will talk to Matt. His last name does happen to be Long, so we'll ask him a little bit about that coming up in hour number 3. I want to get to Patrick Mahomes. As you know, this is the biggest point of his career right now because he has a chance to win a Super Bowl, to win a championship. I think Pat Mahomes is a great guy. He's a fantastic athlete and one of the most exciting football players to watch in the NFL right now. He's taken a little flack on social media. I think it's wrong. Here's why. Going back years ago, Pat Mahomes has some tweets that have surfaced about George Zimmerman, and he kind of took George Zimmerman's side, but is very similar to my opinion on the George Zimmerman case, which is, there's no law that said you can't follow somebody, and it was Trayvon Martin that attacked George Zimmerman first and committed assault. So here's what Pat Mahomes said. He said, yeah, there was no reason for Zimmerman to follow, but he also says, I don't understand the point of him following him with the guy. He also goes, but not to follow. These Twitter comments are a little strange.
What was it like 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, well, he started off by saying, stop resisting or assaulting a cop. That really has nothing to do with Trayvon. Then he went on to take Zimmerman's side, and he basically says he thinks it was a bad misunderstanding that went bad. He also went on to echo exactly what I said on Twitter. And again, this was years ago. This was in 2013 when he made these comments. So basically, he's saying what I have said on this show all along, that Zimmerman, you can disagree with him following Trayvon. You could say whatever you want about him, but the bottom line is he didn't break the law, and based on the evidence, Trayvon broke the law first. So do you think it's fair now that...
Stop grasping at straws. This kid was 17 years old when he made these statements.
Yeah.
He's a junior in high school, for Christ's sakes. I was a complete functional moron at 17 years old, and I imagine probably 90% of the country is as well.
So there are
you can't judge this kid based on... It wasn't an aggressive, egregious tweet. It was just...
No, it wasn't.
I'm not really sure what's going on here. It looks to me like George Zimmerman was attacked first, and he just defended himself, which he did.
So there are some idiots on social media that are disagreeing with both of us. This guy named Steven on social media says, yo, is this story of Patrick Mahomes supporting Zimmerman in his killing of Trayvon Martin true? And am I tripping for feeling type of way crazy? First of all, this guy can't speak English, number one. And number two, just because Pat Mahomes says Zimmerman didn't break the law doesn't mean he's supporting Zimmerman, you doofus, you buffoon.
Well, you would argue the same thing that, if this was a Trump conversation, that you would be complicit in supporting Trump, or you'd be complicit in this particular situation. I'm saying you've done it before quite a few times in the political realm, but I agree.
What does Trump have to do with this?
That is total buffoonery. I'm just pointing out your hypocrisy just for this particular situation.
Okay, so when have I gone after somebody and said they were a murderer when they didn't commit a crime?
Like, for example, when Trump does something wrong and someone condones it, you say they're complicit and you call them a buffoon. Well, you just did the exact same thing.
We're talking about murder. He's calling somebody a murderer. I've never called Donald Trump a murderer before, have I?
No.
This guy is calling this guy is saying he's supporting a murderer. George Zimmerman is not a murderer. The evidence speaks for itself. Another guy on social media said, I can't believe you're a supporter of Zimmerman. First of all, Mahomes is not supporting Zimmerman. He's supporting the law. And the law said that Zimmerman didn't commit a crime. Why are people so stupid? Why are people so dumb? Other people on Mahomes' Twitter, how do you believe Zimmerman is innocent? Well, maybe because it has something to do with the fact that he was innocent in the court of law, you dope. Well, God, I cannot believe how dumb people are. Another guy, Patrick Mahomes, supports George Zimmerman in case you were deciding who to root for in the Super Bowl. Another moron, okay?
Keep in mind, this is also San Francisco, one of the most liberal cities in the United States, and that's Patrick Mahomes' opponent, the San Francisco 49ers. So it's not surprising that some San Francisco 49ers fans are taking this approach.
Another guy says his tweet in 2011 was insensitive and ignorant. Please explain to me what is insensitive and ignorant about being right. These people on social media are so dumb, it is just unbelievable.
Well, the question about Zimmerman is, if he was not attacked by if Trayvon Martin did not attack George Zimmerman, would he be alive today? Would he have died in that particular situation? I think the answer is I don't think he would have died.
Look, the bottom line is Trayvon Martin had an extremely troubled past.
Sure.
Didn't mean he deserved to die that day.
Of course not.
It's a horrible tragedy. With that being said, Trayvon was suspended from school several times, kicked out of his own house, had a perpetuity for violence, for fighting.
He was dealing guns?
He was fighting, and George Zimmerman, you could say whatever you want about him, but he did not break the law. We'll take a couple of phone calls on this one. Do you agree with Patrick Mahomes? Or do you agree with some of his naysayers on Twitter that are basically calling him a racist and an Uncle Tom and some horrible things? 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Steven. Steven, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Steven?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, listen, guys, I mean, both you guys are, obviously European. But you never will understand is whether I was a gangbanger, a juvenile delinquent, or whatever. I'm going to 7-Elevens. I'm buying some candy. I'm walking home, minding my business. And some creepy punk-ass grown man starts to follow me. So,
Yep.
Okay, so think about this. Now, we both wasn't there. So if you see this creepy-looking punk grown man following you, I wish Trayvon had a gun and shot him.
Well, let me start out. Okay, hang on, Stephen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hang on. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that Trayvon deserved to die. I've never said that on this show. With that being said, can you please explain to me what law Zimmerman broke?
Okay. He sat in front of a jury of his peers, apparently, and every one of those Europeans agreed that Zimmerman, the beast that he is, he had a right to stand his ground because why? The 17-year-old was kicking his ass, right?
Yes, he was.
So instead of him fighting back with his hands, he shot him because he's a damn coward.
Okay, but hold on a second. Okay, let's go with that point. If somebody is on top of, now listen, I would never follow somebody, okay? Make no mistake about it. And I don't own a gun. But if I did, and somebody started a physical altercation with me, and all the evidence, according to witnesses and the forensics, that Trayvon Martin started the fight. And by the way, he started fights in high school too, so it's not out of the realm of. Well, hold on. The reason why I'm saying that is because it's important.
And I don't agree with his past as far as the take on that.
He started the physical altercation. So I'm saying if somebody, Stephen, started a physical altercation with me, and they were pounding my head against the pavement and beating me, and I had a gun on me, you're damn right I would shoot that guy. You're damn right.
You're a coward. Because you're a coward.
Because I'm a coward? No, because I'm in fear. Because I'm in fear of my life.
Yeah, because you're following this guy.
I'm just
following me.
That's not against the law. So I'm going to ask you again.
Ask me again.
What crime did Zimmerman commit? It's a very simple question.
Listen, apparently the jury said he was innocent.
I'm not asking you about the jury. I'm not asking you about. I'm asking you, Stephen, personally. What crime did he commit?
This is what he did. He violated this man's personal space.
How close was he to him? How close was he to him? Was he 2 feet away?
Could I say this? You can't even call him a man. He was a boy. He was 17 years old.
So your opinion.
So you got a grown man.
Yes.
You got a grown man violating a kid.
Okay, your definition of violating is different than mine. There's
well, if you approach me and I look back and I'm walking home and it's the middle of the night and I see a creepy ass man walking behind me.
What defines?
We don't know what was said, but apparently he must have told the man back up. And Zimmerman was told by the 911 operator.
Okay, but I understand, Stephen. Listen.
Zimmerman was told by the 911 operator, do not pursue. So he didn't listen to the orders that was given to him.
But he didn't break the law. I understand. I wish he did. But Stephen, I get your point. But again, I asked you 3 or 4 times in that conversation, what laws specifically did Zimmerman break? And you didn't name me one law.
And the question is, if Trayvon Martin did not attack George Zimmerman, would George Zimmerman have attacked Trayvon Martin? Would this confrontation have taken place? Would anything have happened? I think the answer is no, and I think Stephen would have answered no.
Yeah, I agree. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you're next up on the Vegas Take. 257-5396 is the number to call. The reason why we're talking about Zimmerman is because Pat Mahomes put up some tweets back in 2011. Yeah, now he's in the Super Bowl, so people want to raise.
It was 2011 or 13?
It was 2011, I believe, when he put up these tweets.
So he was 15 years old.
I believe that is true.
That's 9 years ago.
Yeah.
The kid's 20. The guy, he's now 24. He was a sophomore and probably a freshman in high school at the time.
Yeah, but Zimmerman, and by the way, Mahomes also said on his Twitter page, there was no reason for Zimmerman to follow him. And I tend to agree with that. It was certainly bad judgment, but it's not against the law to have bad judgment. The problem I have with people on Twitter is that they're saying that Mahomes is defending Zimmerman, and that's not what he's doing. He's defending the laws of the land.
Defending a murder. And if defending the laws of the land makes you an Uncle Tom, then How does that work?
Well, you know, people want to put emotion into this and want to make this a racial issue when Zimmerman is not even white. So it just, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. Mahomes is absolutely in the right. We agree on this 100%. If you think Zimmerman is a murderer, then, you know.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Tell me how he broke the law.
But was he not head of the neighborhood watch as well?
He was. It doesn't mean that you should be a wannabe cop and you should chase after
I'm not
somebody.
suggesting he's going to be a wannabe cop, but what does neighborhood watch do? They watch the neighborhood.
Yeah,
clearly that's what he was doing.
His mistake was not calling 911.
Obviously.
His mistake was following Trayvon Martin.
And when they told him not to follow Trayvon Martin, that was his biggest mistake. But I don't think that a physical confrontation would have ensued on behalf of George Zimmerman.
And I think Trayvon Martin's past is important here because he had a perpetuancy for violence and fighting. And the reason why I bring that up is because all the evidence points toward the fact that he started a physical altercation with George Zimmerman, meaning he was not afraid to start a physical altercation with anybody, particularly somebody that was following him. So this is the issue. This is the problem. And we had filmmaker Joel Gilbert on not that long ago. He said that he got out of the car to see which way he went, not following him. So I don't know what's true or not, but we got to take a break. Coming up next, we're going to be joined by Lawrence Weekly, Clark County Commissioner from District D. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the NFL upcoming draft right here in our backyard in Las Vegas. He is a big part of this and the celebration and all the happenings and doings. So if you want the latest information, the commissioner is going to be joining us next to talk a little bit about that right here on the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
The only FM news talk station in the Valley. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Trial. Trial manager Jerry Nadler is focusing on the first article of impeachment, abuse of power.
He argues that even if we disapprove of his misconduct, we cannot remove him for it. Frankly, that argument is itself terrifying. It confirms that this president sees no limits on his power or on his ability to use his public office for private gain.
Nadler says the framers feared a chief executive who would use power for corrupt purposes.
The president's conduct is wrong. It is illegal. It is dangerous. And it captures the worst fears of our founders and the framers of the Constitution.
The Democrats are presenting arguments that Trump should be convicted of 2 articles of impeachment passed by the House last month, abuse of power in the first and obstruction of Congress in the second. I'm Mike Moss. He anchored the PBS Evening News for 36 years before retiring in 2011. Jim Lehrer has died at the age of 85. Lehrer tried to follow some very high standards that he laid out on PBS.
Do nothing I cannot defend. Cover, write, and present every story with the care I would want if the story were about me. Assume there is at least one other side or version to every story. Assume the viewer is as smart and as caring and as good a person as I am.
The Trump administration's new visa rules are aimed at restricting birth tourism, in which women travel to this country to give birth so their children can have U.S. citizenship. Applicants will be denied tourist visas, however, if they are determined to be coming to the United States primarily for the purpose of giving birth. On Wall Street, mixed stocks, the Dow down 58, the NASDAQ up 6. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Circle K. Watch for slowing for a crash reported on the 215 Beltway eastbound approaching Pecos. Also an accident injury sustained on Valley View at Las Vegas Expressway emergency crews with the scene, and an injury crash on Charleston at Community College Drive. Meanwhile, no delays to reports if you are driving the 95. East side, west side looks good inbound. At Circle K, every cup of coffee is ground fresh, and that means for a mouth-watering split-second Circle K coffee is actually, truly, the freshest in the world, starting at $1. I'm John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Do you have IRS tax problems? Do you owe thousands to the IRS and don't know your options? Did you know you can actually file bankruptcy on IRS debt? Hi, I'm attorney Taylor Randolph, and I have a master's degree in legal taxation, and I can help. Call 702-757-7777 today, and I will meet with you personally for a free consultation. We have removed millions of IRS debt, and we can help you too. No gimmicks, just real help. Call 702-757-7777 today.
Warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
It's a new year, time for new you. Hey, it's KDWN's John Schaefer here from my friends at Numel Medical. Well, did you make a New Year's resolution? Maybe you want to hit the gym more, drink a little less. But guys, let's be honest, we tend to bail on those resolutions after a couple of weeks. It's where my friends at Numel Medical can help. You see, low testosterone can lead to lack of energy, weight gain, even a poor performance in the bedroom. Numel Medical is the leader in men's sexual health. You'll see results on your very first visit, or that visit is free. And guys, popping a little blue pill is just a temporary fix. Numel Medical is going to create a long-term, custom-tailored solution specific to you. They'll have you feeling better and performing better. Just ask the tens of thousands of men in the Las Vegas area alone who had the courage to give them a call. Numel.com. That's Numale.com. 702-505-4414. That's the number. Better health is always a great resolution. Don't see a cheap imitation? Go to the originators. Numel.com. 702-505-4414.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 3. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. You know, we always love covering big events that are coming to town. It's amazing. They are officially the Las Vegas Raiders. They will be here very soon. I'll tell you something else that's going to be here very soon. That is the NFL Draft. It is a 3-day event, April 23rd through the 25th. There's going to be multiple road closures on multiple days. Thank God the commission approved it, though, a culmination of 14 months of work by a 7-0 vote. And then we have with us on the line a big reason, a big part of this NFL draft here in Las Vegas. He is Clark County Commissioner for District of D, Lawrence Weekly, joining us on the line. Commissioner, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, man, thank you so very much for this opportunity. I am extremely honored. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for helping to bring the NFL draft to Las Vegas. We should be thanking you, Commissioner. Let's start by this.
It's huge.
I get so many people asking me every day, how do we buy tickets? What is this event going to look like? Where is it going to be? And I know you went to the NFL draft last year. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your experience last year and how that really helps you in putting together this event this year?
Well, let me just say this. What an honor it is, and big shouts out to the NFL for seeing Las Vegas. You know, people look at us, guys, as a tourist destination. But from my eyes, I look at us as a final destination. And, you know, we welcome our visitors here to help us with our economy. But this is going to be something that so many locals will have an opportunity to participate in. Contrary to what people, believe, we are just like everybody else around the country. We may not have had a NFL football team. We do now. Thank you, Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
There you go. But, for years, many of us have, we've all been separate. We all have had our favorite teams, and we've all rooted for different teams, if you will. Now we have something to call our very own, just like we have our Vegas Golden Knights, just like we have our Las Vegas Aces, just like we have our Las Vegas Aviators. Now we have our Las Vegas Raiders. And so with this whole experience, guys, this is going to be absolutely free to the public. From the fan experience to watching these new prospective guys, their lives change right before our very eyes, it's all free and it's open to the public.
That is so awesome. Now, talk to me specifically about some of these events. There's going to be a red carpet, my understanding. It's going to be at the Bellagio to introduce all of the draft picks. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch of road closures. Just give me the rundown on what you know so far in setting the scene.
Something.
Yep.
That beautiful Bellagio fountain that we see, that on any given night, when that fountain is shooting off, you may hear Frank Sinatra.
Yep.
You may hear Sammy Davis Jr. You may even hear a little Drake music that might be playing off of that fountain,
As
right?
you should.
That's
Yes.
right.
Well, guess what? There's going to be a floating stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on water. And so all of these players, all of the celebrity guests will be driven over to the stage via a boat.
I love it.
Off the red carpet, baby. Only Vegas. Let me tell you something. Nashville, if you've ever gone to Nashville, and I'm sure you guys have, Nashville is an amazing place. It is absolutely wonderful. Man, we had such a great time in Nashville. The hospitality was wonderful. But I've been all over the place. I've been all over the country. New York, I love Times Square. I love the neighborhoods. I love the boroughs in New York. But it's nothing like being right here in Las Vegas. And when I tell you, Las Vegas Boulevard, right there at Flamingo, we're going to cut all of that off. That's going to be a 3-day road closure. And for 3 long days, it is going to be probably close to 500,000, over 500,000. We want to beat Nashville because we're very competitive. Over 3 days, they had 600,000. We damn near get that on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, the city.
So just think over 3 days, and with the fan experience, we're going to take you right across the street, right there in that alleyway of the Link, right behind the High Roller, and that whole parking lot and the new Caesars Event Center. All that's going to be transformed into a fan experience. There's going to be this Fremont experience-like stage. That's where it's going to actually go down. So when the players come off the floating stage at the Bellagio, they'll be escorted over there to the fan experience fan experience area, where fans will go crazy because it's big screens, it's music, it's some of the biggest entertainers in the nation are going to be here. You're going to get an opportunity to hop onto the stage where you can challenge one of your favorite NFL players in a 40-yard dash. I mean, the experience is going to be just like Disneyland right here, but the NFL Disneyland. How's that?
I like that.
That's a great analogy, and it sounds like the place to be. So let's say hypothetically we wanted to put our radio show next to the NFL draft. How would we go about doing a remote from there, Lawrence?
Let me tell you something. We want to make sure that our locals are not left out of here. All eyes around the world will be on Las Vegas. And so that's a great, great, great question. One of the things that I think that you guys need to be a part of that experience, front and center, along with all of our media outlets, if you will. LVCVA as well as R&R will be handling a lot of those logistics. And so there is a website that should be out right now, if I'm not mistaken, that you can go to. But one of the things that I will specifically do for you guys is I will get the specific contact person for media relations, and I will make sure that you guys have that.
Great. I appreciate that. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Lawrence Weekly. He is the Clark County Commissioner for District D, a big part of the festivities and why the NFL Draft will be right here in Las Vegas coming up in April. So you mentioned Phase 1, which is April 8th. That'll be the first day of construction for this Bellagio stage, an arc spanning Flamingo at Las Vegas Boulevard constructed during that second phase. And then the final stage will include the days of the draft starting at 10 p.m. on April 22nd. My understanding is northbound and southbound lanes of Las Vegas Boulevard will be closed for a short time there. And you mentioned the locals, and I agree with you. This is a big situation for locals to be a part of. So let me ask you this. When people ask me all the time, where do I buy tickets? You just told me it's free, right? So you can go anywhere and watch this thing for free, right? I mean, there is no buying tickets for locals, right?
There is no buying tickets. There will be specific areas, of course, for security purposes that you will probably need to be badged. But as it relates to outdoors in front of the Bellagio there on Las Vegas Boulevard off of Flamingo, right in front of the fountains, absolutely free. To go on to the fan experience area there, absolutely free. And so the only thing that they're going to be asking for is because of security purposes. They want, if you're carrying bags, they want clear bags, of course. Will attendees need to go through a metal detector? Yes. All attendees entering the NFL security perimeter will have to go through security. Will there be will there be what types of security? Of course, NFL security as well as our local law enforcement.
Sure, of course.
Will be on hand. And so we want to make sure that when the world comes to Las Vegas and our locals leave our homes and we go out to experience this as well, that we're all safe, that we all have a great time. We don't want people bringing glass bottles out on the boulevard. We don't want folks carrying concealed backpacks with we don't know what's happening. So the inconvenience might be, guys, that yes, you're going to have to go through a metal detector area. They're just to make sure that everybody's safe. That's it.
Of course.
That's it. We just want everybody to be safe and have a great time and make this one of the best NFL drafts in the history.
Of course. That's kind of what Vegas is all about. Have a great time and be safe. So let's talk a little bit of 10. Let's go back 10 or 15 years, Commissioner. You've been in this town a long time. Yes, exactly. So you've been here a while. If I asked you, Commissioner, 10 or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that not only would we have an NHL franchise here, but the Raiders would be coming to town. We would have this new, beautiful stadium, not just the T-Mobile Arena for our hockey team and hopefully eventually an NBA team, but we'd have the NFL here, and you would be a big part of the reason why we have the NFL draft here. What would you have said 15 years ago?
I would have said absolutely.
Really? So you were confident?
Yes, only because, and let's give this guy credit. Let's give this one guy some credit, regardless of what the naysayers and some of his detractors and some of his non-supporters may say. But do you all remember over 15 years ago, Oscar Goodman?
Oh, no question. No question.
So
yes.
Let's not cancel him out of the equation. He saw it a long time ago. He says, you know what? This is a world-class city. Why not? And so NBA,
he started the conversation.
NFL, National Hockey League, Major League Baseball. He called it years ago, and I was a councilman at that particular time, and we all bought into it. We traveled around the country looking at arenas. We traveled around the country going to hockey venues. So what we're experiencing today, this is nothing new. We're very blessed that we're starting to see it come to fruition, and we're so very glad that those who helped to make it possible, that it's here. But I can tell you, I was a fresh new city councilman at that time. I wasn't even a commissioner. I was a fresh new councilman. Oscar Goodman called Larry Brown and I. We had lunch together. He says, guys, this is a world-class city. I need you all to buy into my vision. I believe that we can do it. Why do you think we had the NBA All-Star Weekend here? That was the beginning of it.
It was. You're right. And
that was the beginning of it.
No, you're right. And we have Oscar Goodman on our show all the time. He's a friend of the show. And I always give Oscar Goodman credit for getting the ball rolling and starting the conversation. There's no doubt in my mind, and I know you would agree with this, Commissioner, if not for Oscar Goodman, I'm not sure we would be in the position we are in now. So obviously we have to give kudos. I wanted to ask you about the NBA and Major League Baseball, because the speculation is that the next professional franchise we would get would maybe be the NBA. We've also heard rumors about Major League Baseball, and I thought that the NBA would be the first professional franchise that we would get. Can you give us your thoughts on that? How long do you, and I know we're speculating here, how long do you think it'll be before we get an NBA or a Major League Baseball franchise?
Let me tell you something. I believe that it's in the making as we speak. I wouldn't put anything past the Maloof brothers. I wouldn't put anything past what's going on over there at MSG. Remember the name, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's called that for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I see it happening. We got the WNBA here, and I believe people wanted to test the waters. And look at how this community have embraced our Las Vegas Aces.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
that's the WNBA who have experienced so much pushback in their own profession, but now starting to see, the positive results, and they're being accepted and being compensated for what they're worth. I think it's a fantastic thing for our women's sports. But I think what's happening now is everybody's saying, let's get the Raiders on board. Let's get this NFL up and running. Hockey came in and did wonderful. People didn't think hockey was going to do well. People are over the moon about the Vegas Golden Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're experiencing their bumps and their pitfalls, but they keep us excited. They came at a time when we needed something special to happen here in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we love them. And so I think it's just a matter of time before we see NBA will step foot right here on the grounds of Las Vegas. And Major League Baseball will be right behind it. And then, of course, I think soccer is going to happen as well.
And I think
we're going to be transformed into this major sports and entertainment mecca.
I totally agree with that. Sports capital of the world, and we're definitely the epicenter of sports betting, and that that expanding has helped us as well.
But
and I think
you guys are the ones that drive this thing. You guys have been, don't count yourselves short. You guys have been big advocates. You've been big supporters. You know, when elected officials, when we needed to be called out on the carpet for certain things, of moving too slow, or calls or decisions that we've made, you guys have called that out as well. But I think you guys have been fair. You guys have been supportive, and you guys have helped make this dream become a reality as well. So this is one of those, we're all in this thing together. We really are one community, regardless of what people around the world think that we all live in hotels. No, we actually live in neighborhoods. We have schools. We have parks. We have homeless people here. We have issues just like everybody else do. But we are sick and tired of traveling around to their communities, spending our money elsewhere to go see our favorite teams, eat our favorite foods, and enjoy our favorite shows when Las Vegas is the place to be.
Has there been any, let's say that the NFL draft goes outstanding, it's a slam dunk event, which I believe it will be. Has there been any discussions, among you and your peers about possibly asking the NFL to make this the place to have the NFL draft year in and year out?
Well, the next request that we had for the NFL was that we'd like to see Super Bowl 2025 here in Las Vegas.
That's not that far away.
No.
that's pretty.
Absolutely.
Can we talk?
There you go.
Let's talk. Well, that's nice to hear. I hope we get that, and I have no doubt we will. Let's talk a little bit about this new, stadium that's being built. That's almost done. I would imagine, Commissioner. We talk so much about the Raiders, and of course, UNLV football is going to be there. But there are going to be some of the biggest events on the planet that are going to be in this new stadium, right? We could talk about Republican or Democratic conventions, WrestleMania. I mean, you name it. The biggest acts in the world will be there. So can you talk a little bit about that and how just this stadium alone, forget about even the Raiders, this stadium alone is going to help the economy in Las Vegas?
See, people continue, and you guys are so spot on. People continue to talk about the football games, but you're absolutely right. They're already talking about Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, and Jay-Z. They're already talking about, just some of the biggest names on the planet performing right there in that venue. They're already talking about those big national conventions that you just spoke of already. And so those things are already in the works as we speak. Believe it or not, people are already reaching out to the folks at Allegiant Stadium, already trying to place dates. I would not be surprised if this stadium is already booked up 2 years out.
You've taken tours of the stadium. Obviously, you've seen it, Commissioner.
Recently, I have.
Yeah, can you tell us what that tour looked like from the inside? Because as someone who's just a regular person, driving on the 15, you see how beautiful it is from the outside. But can you tell us what you saw from the inside?
Oh, man, I got to go down in what I considered the belly of the whale, and I was absolutely blown away. And the interesting part about it was, as locals, we all keep saying, we won't even be able to afford to go to a game. We'll probably have to sit in the nosebleed sections if we're able to even get in the stadium. Let me tell you something. There is not one bad seat in that arena.
Really?
I was blown away. We were all the way at the tip top because I wanted to see. I asked Don Webb, I said, hey, Mr. Webb, take me up to the nosebleed section because I want to see where I may possibly sit if I get into a Raider game. And if I tell you, I saw construction workers down on the field, and I could see their faces.
Wow. That's good to know.
Absolutely. I was kind of like, wow, there's not really a bad seat in here.
That is great to know.
It is wonderful, and the layout in there is so awesome. And the thing that I love about it is, oh, my God, the vendors that's going to be in it. Wait until they unveil the vendors that's going to be there. And there are so many experiences that's going to happen inside of the venue during a game.
If you're just joining us,
I can't talk about it all right now, but
it's exciting.
Amazing with what the concept that they've come up with.
Clark County Commissioner Lawrence Weekly for District D joining us on the line right now. Commissioner, you heard when the T-Mobile Arena went up, everybody was so concerned about traffic. And my response on the radio immediately when I heard that crap was, listen, do you know how many huge events are going on the Strip on a nightly basis? Nothing is going to change. It's just another show or another big venue. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of traffic around within a few blocks of that that area, but it's not going to be a big deal. And I was right. It wasn't. Everything's going fine at T-Mobile Arena. And now some people that are the naysayers are obsessed and saying, oh, the parking's going to be a huge problem. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. My personal opinion is everything is going to be just fine. People are going to be able to park, in specific areas. It might not be smooth right away, but everything is going to settle down and be fine. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I agree. I think what's going to eventually happen, because we've met with Mark Bedane, we've met with Don Webb, we've met with all of the top officials from the Raiders. Will there be some inconvenience to us? Absolutely. Is it going to take a minute for them to work it out as it relates to when you park in one of the remote parking lots and the shuttle buses are taking people to and from and getting in some of our rideshare companies involved? It's going to take a minute for them to choreograph all of that. Let's just say, when the game is going on and it's like 25,000 of us decide, okay, there's 5 minutes left in the game. I'm going to go ahead and head out now so that we can kind of try to beat the crowd. Those are things that they're walking through and working through as we speak. A lot of these things are being thought out as we speak. Are we going to experience some inconvenience? Yes, we are. But that's all a part of communication. So working with NDOT, working with RTC, working with all of those 42 new digital signs that are going up on the 15 right now. Communication is going to be key. And we are going to have to heavily rely on media. Everybody's going to have to play a part in making sure that men and women and young people who work out on the boulevard and work out in that geographic area, that they can get to work on time. That people who live out in the geographic area, that we're putting and posting signs so that they will know what alternative routes to use. And so I think, once again, if we continue to do the right thing, we don't blow people off, we communicate with folks on a regular basis, keeping them updated as to what's going on, what roads will be closed, what event is getting ready to happen, I think we'll be absolutely fine. It's just going to take some adjusting for us here in our community to get used to.
Well, I'll tell you what, Commissioner, you really have done a fantastic job in your district, and you've done a lot of great things for Las Vegas. We really do appreciate you taking some time to join us. And I'll tell you what, as the NFL draft in Las Vegas, I still can't believe I'm saying that, as it gets closer, we'd love to have you in studio and maybe on again with us sometime. We really do appreciate your insight, and keep up the great work, my man. I really appreciate what you do.
I would love to. And again, for all the road closure information and updated information on what's happening with the NFL draft, go to NFL.com. Or for any information on road closures or just trying to keep up with all the festivities, go to the LVCVA.com, and that should keep you abreast of what's happening right here in your community.
Thank you for that information, Commissioner. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. God bless you all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Commissioner.
All right, there you go. Lawrence Weekly. I'm a big fan of his. I think he does a fantastic job. I really do.
I like his energy a
Trust
lot.
me when I say I wouldn't say that about all the commissioners in Las Vegas. He really does do a good job.
And I think he's totally correct when he says that the NBA is in the works. After watching how, and we didn't talk about this, how successful the Summer League was, I think NBA will be a slam dunk in Las Vegas. Every single game sold out, both sides, home and away. And one thing that people aren't thinking about is there's not going to really be a home field advantage in Las Vegas. There
might not be.
There is with hockey, because hockey's not that big of a sport.
It's very different.
But NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, definitely not NFL and NBA.
It's not that hockey.
You're not going to have that home field advantage. I mean, you're going to have it's going to be 55-45, sometimes 60-40.
I agree with what you're saying. It's not that hockey is not that big of a sport. It's that here's why. It's because they have so many Golden Knights season ticket holders. They have so many people in Las Vegas.
And that's definitely part of it.
Yeah. And when you look at the NFL, the games are once a week on Sundays and occasionally on a Monday or a Thursday. But you're going to have so many teams, away teams, that are going to be traveling.
But it's
very different.
Scarcity and branding. NFL, NBA players they have so many more advertising dollars behind them. They have such larger social media presences, and their fan bases are so much bigger than the NHL, and you can't deny that.
It's a different animal. But again, the main reason, hockey fans don't travel like NFL fans do. That's just the bottom line. And of course, when 90% of those seats are filled by Vegas Golden Knight fans and season ticket holders, obviously you're not going to have a lot of fans, from other teams that are going to be in that arena. Maybe the playoffs are a little different scenario, but yeah, I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights have a huge home ice advantage. I'm not sure the Raiders will have that, but the reason why I say they will is because I'm not sure some of these away teams, when they come into Vegas, some of these younger kids especially, are going to be able to handle the city of Las Vegas as well as maybe if you're a Raider and you live here. Let's just put it that way. I remember year one of the Vegas Golden Knights, we called every team that flew in here a couple days before the game. We all said they had the Vegas flu because they come in here and they're gambling and they're partying. And I think that's part of the reason why the Vegas had such a great year in year one.
Apparently, Evander Kane overcame the Vegas flu and beat us. Well, after losing $500,000 to the Cosmo, how'd that happen, Brian?
Well, I mean, he didn't beat us here in Las Vegas, and he also lost quite a bit of money in the Vegas casinos because he's an ignorant buffoon. That's why. Still like him on our team though, because he's a heck of a hockey player.
I agree.
But he didn't handle Las Vegas as well as he should have, and I think a lot of these younger players, when they come to Las Vegas, they don't handle as well as they could. All right, coming up next, this is going to be a fun segment. I promise you, it's going to be interesting. So as you know, the AVN Expo is in town and the award show. What is that? It is the Grammys or the Oscars for the porn industry. Not just porn stars are in town, though. There's a lot of people selling products, selling gadgets that buzz, so to speak. And also a lot of people selling pills, a lot of people selling sex pills. The guy we have with us coming in studio next segment, he owns his own sex pill company, and he is selling his product at the AVN Expo. We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Hey, it's Flo with a super weird word, nightgown. If you ask me, it sounds less like clothes you wear to bed and more like things you say to your clothes. Good night, capri pants, sleep tight sweaters, nightgown. We've got a big day tomorrow. Now a weird word I just made up, flotection. It sounds like great protection for your new home through me and Progressive, and that's because it is. I said good night, capri pants, go to sleep.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Special report, Trump impeachment trial. In their second of 3 days prosecuting the case to convict the president on 2 articles of impeachment, trial manager Jerry Nadler argues the president has abused his power by using it for corrupt purposes.
Charges set forth in the first article of impeachment are firmly grounded in the Constitution of the United States. Simply stated, impeachment is the Constitution's final answer to a president who mistakes himself for a king.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has been one of the president's strongest supporters and says Trump was trying to uncover corrupt behavior.
I will tell you that Joe Biden's one of the finest men I know, but he's got to explain this. Somebody needs to look at this. How did Hunter Biden get $1.5 billion to invest when he'd been in business for 60 days from China?
Democrats say the Biden story is an effort by the White House to conceal and justify the president's improper behavior. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's. Watch for slowing for the crash on the 215 Northern Beltway eastbound near Pecos Road. And no delays to report. 95 north and southbound, east side or west looking good. There's light slowing on 15 south between Charleston and Spring Mountain. And on the surface streets, a crash reported at Charleston just west of Jones Boulevard. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. John Michaels from the K-Dawn Traffic Center.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Count.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Thursday. We also have our producer, Jason Stein, in studio. Trust me, there's a reason for that. Well, the AVN Awards are in town. It is the Oscars for the porn industry. It's all going down at the Hard Rock. And with that also comes the AVN Expo. Now, it's not just about all the top porn stars signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. That's fun. But there are a lot of people selling gadgets. There are a lot of people selling all sorts of different things, maybe to help you and enhance your sexual experience. In fact, Jason Stein was checking out some of the blow-up dolls that they were selling at the event yesterday. I know he got very excited at
These
that.
were more than blow-up dolls.
Were they really?
They were. Well, you were there. They were lifelike dolls.
You seem more excited than me.
I
was
wouldn't
just
even call
enjoying
them dolls. They're like people.
Listen, I was enjoying the free food while you were touching these dolls. So,
Right.
yeah,
That says
yeah.
a lot, right? I was looking at the dolls, the sex.
I wanted the free food.
It's display, and he was eating the free vegetables.
It's a nice dynamic.
So me and Stein, we're saying hello to all these porn stars, and we're walking around, and then all of a sudden we see this this booth, and they're selling all these sex pills. And so Stein immediately starts talking to the guy we have with us in studio right now. His name is Matt Long. That is your real last name, is it not, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, not Matt Short, Matt Long. Okay.
No,
because that's you
absolutely.
understand
It's not
what
a stage name.
It's not. Okay.
I am the little engine that could. For sure. Yeah,
Fair enough. So Matt works for the company freesexpills.com, and if you're watching us on YouTube right now,
Sounds
you
like
see
he's
all
an
these pills.
ambassador.
So
Absolutely.
it is like a wealth.
And definitely a user.
Right. Good.
So it is a wealth of sex pills for both men and women. They all do sorts of different things.
Yeah.
So Matt, first talk to me about this expo. Yesterday was the first day. How did it go?
It's going great so far.
Yeah.
You know, we had a great response. A lot of people, a lot of interaction, and it was awesome. We had a great turnout, and we're looking. Obviously, it's the first day, and it's the middle of the week. It builds. You know.
It builds. Yeah, I can make a joke there. But okay, so here are some misconceptions on sex pills, and maybe you could help clear these out for us.
Sure.
A lot of people get scared. Oh my God, if I take these pills, is something going to happen to me? I know Lamar Odom had a lot of cocaine and
Absolutely.
alcohol in his system. He also took a lot of sex pills. A lot of people are worried, including myself, about taking these types of pills and what do they do
With
for
good
me?
reason, man.
Yeah,
With good reason.
so explain to me your pills that you have here, why they are not going to hurt you. Give me the rundown, where you should be concerned and where you shouldn't be.
Okay. Well, number one, first and foremost, these are made in America. Plain and
good.
simple.
That's
So
good.
you're
Not Russia.
You're not getting these from somewhere else, and
Gotcha.
you don't know what's in them. They're all natural.
Yep.
Okay. And they all do different things, but they are made here in America by a company here in America, and it's all natural. So it's been around for a long time, and we're excited about them.
So our producer Stein was telling me off the air at times he does struggle to please women. So he said, "Yeah, my understanding is you have some." I'm sorry, Stein. Sorry, I had to share that.
It's
so,
true.
Yeah. So you sell pills that will help women get excited, even if they look at
Absolutely.
somebody like our producer.
Absolutely.
Explain how that works
Well,
in a
we have
PG-13 way.
Yeah.
I believe you'd be referring to Valextra.
Valextra. Also,
I noticed he just slipped one of those in his pocket.
See, that's good branding.
Same with the Magic Mike Hot for females.
So this gets a female excited.
Absolutely.
People don't realize that there's Viagra for women. People don't realize that.
Right.
It's
And
out there.
This isn't, I wouldn't say a Viagra, right? Like Viagra is a prescription type of a thing, and you have to be careful with it. There's side effects with that kind of stuff. This is something I can take every day. I could take these every single day.
Like a vitamin.
Like a vitamin every single day and not worry about what it's going to do.
So what is the stuff that's in some of these pills that makes it work?
Well,
what is this stuff? What's in there?
Go ahead and
It's
take
not
a
rat.
look.
It's not like rat poisoning,
Not
right?
even
I mean,
close.
there's
Not even
stuff.
close.
So I'm looking at a pill right now. It's a pink pill called Magic Mike Hot. This is a pill for women, correct?
That is.
Okay, so I want to name some of the ingredients that are in this pill.
Yeah.
What is Indian corn pollen? What the hell is that?
Sounds natural.
It's
Indian corn pollen.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Indian corn pollen.
Pole pine pollen, choke cherry enzyme.
Exactly.
That sounds like a sexual position. I don't know. Boletus mushroom spore. Have you guys heard of any of this stuff before? Prickly pear cactus root extract.
Yeah, I get that in Arizona.
Tuna's seed extract. Milkweed extract. Jupiter bark extract.
That's a good one.
Wow.
I don't hear anything in that list that freaks me out.
Yucca
Do you have some
extract.
kind of scientist that is mixing things together to see what works?
We
I
do
work-
have a lab. We have labs that formulate these things. They have all been specially formulated to do what they're supposed to do. So that one's an exciter for a female, like Niagara. This is formulated to help with secretion for females, helps them to become more wet, even possibly squirt.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure many of the 85-year-old conservatives that are listening right now are getting very turned on by
You
this
would be
conversation.
really, really
Yes.
surprised.
Yes.
Really surprised.
Sean Hannity coming up next, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We also have the Sweeten 69. Now, this one is a 2-pack, right? One for you, one for her. This makes that secretion, whether it's male or female, taste fruity.
Ooh.
So I'm sure you've heard, you know, you can drink pineapple juice and
So you're
this,
saying
that, and the other.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
have to drink pineapple
wow.
juice. Just pop one of these little
Wow.
bad boys.
Look at that. Okay,
Good
so
stuff.
on
So you're telling me, hang on, Brian. I'm going to hijack this because this is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
You're telling me that this, because there's there's an old joke about how do you know that God's not a woman? Because if God was a woman, ejaculate would taste like chocolate. Right?
Right.
Okay. So you're saying this can actually.
I've never heard that once in my life.
I heard that.
And I'm thankful that I've never heard that before.
But
That's
it's
disgusting.
it's a funny joke, right?
It's disgusting.
So maybe a little over the line, but what you're saying is this can actually change the taste of
Absolutely.
of things. Okay.
Absolutely. So if you're going to take one of those, make sure you take one of these. This is Explosion.
I love the
Okay.
names of these, by the way.
Absolutely, because this helps your release be bigger. It's a load volumizer.
Oh. See, that's what caught my eye
so,
when we walked.
So
in.
not only are you going to take something like Magic Mike to get you excited, which is going to help with blood flow down there, and
Right, right.
I can testify to that for sure.
It does work.
Absolutely, 100%.
Even if you're with a woman that
just
you're not
used it a
extremely
couple of
attracted
days.
to.
I don't have to be with a woman. I
Well,
can
Jason,
think about a woman,
Jason,
and I'm
you're-
going to get excited.
Jason, you're in
thinking
luck.
about it. Like,
You're in luck.
the blood flow.
I can amuse
down there
myself
is
with these
awesome.
products. We all can.
Absolutely, you can.
We all
And,
can.
You know,
So-
the guy that's bringing the doll, hopefully, later on in
Yeah.
the week, go for it.
Well,
Have
I
at
think
it.
we're all.
That is one woman you will not fail to please. I
These
guarantee you.
products are going to turn. These are going to allow you to emulate some of your favorite actors, right?
Well,
For Jason, it's Tom Cruise.
The question for me is Matt, how long does this take to work?
Right. It's a great question.
So say we have this doll and next, we'll call it on Friday tomorrow, and Stein, we have Stein take these pills and we'll say 10:30. They come in at 11:30. By the 11:30 hour, when
he's good to go.
the doll is here, will Stein be ready to go? I mean,
Yes.
how long does it take usually
He'll
for
be
these?
chomping at the bit. to
Yeah,
go.
he'll be ready to rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
There might not even be an interview, just a closed door. Maybe the blinds will be shut.
So he could just take the doll from the studio, take it somewhere else,
And have some fun.
Okay, fine.
Or you could take the doll, or Brian could take the doll, or John Schaefer could take the doll. I don't know. This doesn't necessarily have to be me in this hypothetical.
Well, if you're taking the pills, it's got to be you.
Listen, you were very
Oh.
excited talking to those guys who run that blow-up doll company yesterday.
Well,
He was very
Those-
jumpy.
They're great.
He was
The
very
silicone
excited.
dolls
Yes.
are awesome, man.
Well,
They're
listen. Here's the
awesome.
thing. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm thinking it in terms of a producer. AVN is great. There's a lot of glitz and glamour and a lot of beautiful actors and actresses. But there's other things there too, and I thought, well, this would be an interesting angle,
Yeah.
as well as the dolls.
It'd also
as
be
well
an-
as-
it
there's
also-
there was a robot there, for God's sake.
It also be
yeah.
it also
Saw
be
the
an-
robot?
With emotion.
It looked like
Yeah.
the Zoltar
Yeah.
machine.
It'd also be an
From
interesting.
Big.
It'd also be an interesting angle to see Jason Stein on top of a blow-up doll. That'd be an interesting angle, also. So
Okay,
maybe-
well, that's not what this interview is about.
no, it's completely what it's about. It's about your fascination with these sex blow-up dolls.
Yeah, it's kind of about it.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah,
It's
thank you.
just not that graphic.
Thank you,
That
JD.
was a big graphic.
Yes,
Brian.
thank you, JD.
Back to the pills.
Anyway, yeah, back to the pills. Anyway, his name is Matt Long. He works for a company, AVN.com. The reason why he's in town and many of these other vendors are in town, it's because the AVN, not only the AVN Awards, which is the porn awards, kind of the Oscars for the porn industry, but also the AVN Expo is here. Not only do you get a chance to meet all your favorite adult film stars. I know Chris Wynn is a big fan of Evan Stone, but you also get to look at the latest in gadgets and pills and that sort of thing, and that's what Matt does. He's selling these pills. So how much, I would imagine you're probably doing a lot of business on a daily basis at the Expo, right? Give us how many customers are you selling these pills to at the Expo at the Harbor?
What's really cool is we brought bottles, not just the little blisters like you see here. We brought bottles, and what's really cool is like we're selling a lot of bottles.
Really?
Instead of and then there's some individuals that'll buy one, go try it, and come back and buy 2 or 3 bottles. So yeah, it's awesome. So it's freesexpills with a Z.com, and the way that works is you go set up an account, right? You get an email, and then we send you a free pill every month, right? Hopefully you're having sex more than once a month. So you're going to want more than just that free.
Sorry.
So you're going to want more than just that one pill. So then you'll order more.
Right. All right.
But
So
we will provide you with a free one every month.
In the history of selling these pills, and has anyone lost their life or been seriously ill? Never. So,
Never.
But what if I decided to take 10 of them?
No, we also have extends that we sell as well. And Ron Jeremy was the face of that for the longest time. You can't promote something like that if it's going to hurt somebody. I mean, you're going to disappear.
But I would imagine you can't just pop 20 pills, right?
That's not what it says on the back. You don't.
So you
don't pop 20.
Right.
You take one of each. If you wanted to take one of
per
Sweet
day,
69. If you wanted to, yeah, absolutely. It's
that's
not gonna hurt
okay.
you. Yeah. One of the things you want to remember is to drink a lot of water. People complain about headaches and things like that. Well, you got to drink water before sex.
Is there any similar ingredients that a Viagra pill has that these pills have? Any similar ingredients?
No.
So how is it that it works like a Viagra pill, though? That's unbelievable.
Well, people have been using natural things for a long, long time to do different things.
So this is more of even though it's a pill, it's more natural. You're taking more natural substances, putting it in your body than a Viagra. So you can make the argument that this could be more safe than taking a prescription drug.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have a PhD. I'm not a doctor whatsoever, and I don't have to sign anything for you to go and purchase these, right? Which means the liability is a lot less to take this than it would be a Viagra, because I don't have to necessarily tell you to go check with your doctor to take one of our pills. You don't have to.
So when you walk into like a gas station or a sex store, they all sell these different types of pills, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference between those pills that they would sell and these?
Ours are better.
Why?
Because we've been around, and the formulas that we've perfected are awesome.
So give me an idea of pricing. If I wanted to buy some of these pills, what would they go for? What would they be?
Like a blister.
What's blister? Tell us what blister.
A blister is just like a card with one pill. They're usually about $15.
Okay.
Online, if you go to freesexpills.com, not only will we send you a free one, but if you wanted to purchase them there, they're like $6.99.
So you give customers an opportunity to try it once for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if it works.
Yeah.
Which is
we don't have to sell you anymore after
which
you
is
try
smart, because if it does work, which I
Right.
have no doubt it does, if it does
Right.
work, then of course they're going to come back for more. right?
Exactly.
That's what
they're
we're
going to keep
talking
coming and coming and coming.
literally, yeah. So
Right.
no question.
No pun intended.
JD, would you ever? JD,
Totally intended.
JD, I know. JD, I know you're a married man, but which
Let's
would you hold on? Let me ask you a question. Jesus, hold your horses here. I know you're a married man, but do you think this is something that you and your wife would ever consider taking, some of these pills to kind of spice things up? I think it's a fair question.
I think so. Yeah. I would consider this.
All right, let's get.
This Magic Mike says 72 hours on it. You take it today,
Right.
you're still good to go on Monday.
Thank you for doing that math.
Is that carry the 2 plus 10?
I don't know.
So let's say that my wife purchased one of the pink pills, and I purchased one of the green pills, and I accidentally take the pink pill. How will that?
You're good.
Doesn't make a difference. It won't affect me adversely. So
No.
what makes a pill for what makes
if you
pill
see
for a woman and what makes pill for a
the
man?
ingredient on here is, you'll see the 4.5K. It's the same on here, right? It's the very similar ingredient, and it's going to work.
All right, another question.
You'll be fine.
What if you're a man that produces a radio show that has a large amount of estrogen in his body? What type of pill would you would you recommend he take?
I would definitely take the Magic Mike. And
Jason, take the Magic Mike.
Isn't the Magic Mike for women?
No. See, it's men and women. This
Oh,
one's
okay.
for men. That's the double
Stamina.
XL.
Oh, yeah. This
double
is for
XL.
stamina. Okay.
And then
Get one of those. Put that in my shopping cart.
Right. And then your explosion right there. You want to
Okay.
intensify that.
You can take them.
That
You
load.
can mix them. You can take
Yeah,
them. Okay.
absolutely.
This is a double whammy right here.
That's to make your erection like rock solid.
Yes.
Well,
I'm
listen,
talking the blood
no.
in your erection, and I'm testifying. If you can feel your heart pulse in your erection.
Now, what if you have a heart
Man.
condition?
I have high blood pressure,
Okay.
and I still have no problem taking.
Well,
it.
listen, Mike Pence, if you're listening to the show right now, and if you have a question for Matt Long, give us a call. Actually, if you're listening and you're not the vice president, if you're anybody, if you want to give us a call, you have a question for Matt, feel free to do so right now. That number is 702-257-5396. If you have a question about sex pills, are they good for you? Are they okay for you? Are they dangerous? Any question you have, Matt Long is here to answer it. The number to call, again, 702-257-5396. And again, that number, 257-5396. Matt, what is the most asked question that you get in regards to these pills?
He said asked. Do they work?
Of course they do.
Do they work?
Of course they do.
So yeah,
Right.
you can't stay in business for a long time with a product that doesn't work, especially in this industry.
That is
This
true.
is a giant industry, and it's a very close knit group of people that
That's a
run
good
the whole
point.
industry. So you're not going to be able to get porn stars or just normal average Joes purchasing your products if they're not getting a result. We do major business with Adam and Eve. You can find our products in Adam and Eve stores and stuff like that. The freesexpills.com is a great way for us to just be right there in your home for you, so you don't even have to go to the store. A lot of people don't like going into porn stores and stuff like that for whatever reason. So you don't have to. You can just order it right there online. But it's the biggest question is do they really work, right? Well, you don't know unless you try it, and I've tried it, and I know that they work because I've tried it.
So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're sitting at a bar and a nice, attractive woman is sitting next to you.
Yeah.
And you're having a conversation and you guys are hitting it off. Everything's great. And she says, so tell me, what do you do for a living? And you respond to her and you say, oh, I sell sex pills. How do they respond to that?
They I guess it depends on the woman that I'm talking to.
Like if you're sitting at church, I'm just curious because, listen, this is a unique business that you're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, you're gonna.
Yeah.
I would imagine you're gonna be honest with someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do different people react different? Have you ever been in a situation like that? I imagine you have. Where you,
Sure.
So how
mom and dad, talking to mom and dad.
So you're having the first conversation.
Yeah, it's
take me back to that.
I'm helping men and women enjoy their sex life with all natural supplements that help something that is so taboo to talk about, like intercourse.
Okay, be honest.
You know what I mean?
Have you persuaded your parents to take these pills?
No.
Why not?
My parents are very. They're very good without any kind of.
Really, your dad's
absolutely.
a stud. All right,
we got lots of kids in the family. So.
I'm happy to hear that.
I got a question. What type of people, did when you were set up your booth at AVN?
Yeah.
Are you getting disproportionate, single men? Are you getting couples? Are you getting
Both. Absolutely.
Just all
and
walks of life?
Females too. Yeah.
Single women coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not the porn
Couples.
stars, just regular
you'll get,
women that are at the expo and they're saying, "Hey, I sure could use something."
What's cool is about this dynamic is, being at AVN is you do have a lot of diversity with everybody. I'm talking, you have gay couples that come up to you and talk to you and you can help them out. You have lesbian couples that come up and talk to you, you can help them out. You also have, men and women couples coming up to you, single men, single women, everybody's coming up to you and talking to you about, hey, does this work? How does this work? What do you suggest, right? And that's great to give them information that could actually help them to enjoy a healthier sex life and have more fun.
What's the weirdest request, question, person of doing this expo that you've ever had to encounter that you can share with us, like a weird situation?
I haven't really come across any really weird
No,
situations.
because there's a lot of
you know.
unique-looking people at the
Absolutely,
AVN Expo.
yeah, you know, absolutely. So you know, you'll get a lot of beautiful men there. You know what I mean? And then when you're talking to them, you definitely got to know, hey, listen, what are you looking to accomplish here? You know,
That's an awkward conversation.
right? So what do you really need?
And I would
Tell me
imagine-
what you need, and then once they,
I would
let
imagine
you
some of
know.
those conversations can be graphic.
Yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't bother you at all.
Not at all.
Well,
Not
look
at
where
all.
they
Not at all.
are. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you
Are
know,
porn
I
stars-
can't take anybody's inventory except
No,
for myself, and I don't
understand.
place
You're
judgment.
kind of
on
like
anybody.
a doctor in a certain sense, where you have to have those
I'm
type of
far from that.
Well, yeah,
So
but,
far from a doctor.
But in that sense, you have to have those types of personal conversations. So, are a
Absolutely.
lot of these porn stars taking these types of drugs?
Yeah, absolutely.
I shouldn't call them
Yeah.
a drug. It's not necessarily a drug, right?
No,
What
it's
would you-
not a drug.
It's just what?
It's a
What would-
supplement.
Okay, so
Yeah.
are a lot of porn stars taking these types
Yeah,
of
they
supplements?
use the Magic Mike, the Explosion. The men do. The women use the Viagra, especially on shoots. You know, if a girl has to be really wet and squirt, then she'll take some Niagara. The guy,
It's a
you
good
know,
name,
they
Niagara.
they have those, you know, facial shots or the money shot or whatever it is, and you've got to have that volume, right? And
By the
that's
way-
what you're going to be using.
By the
for
way, did I mention Sean Hannity's coming up next? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, you know, maybe he. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's that's the other thing, right? Like, you look at someone and you would have no idea
Oh
that
man,
they're
you.
right.
Yeah,
the
you,
people you're talking
you get
to,
people that walk up to you
these
naked
aren't
at the
just
show
porn
that need
stars.
pills, and then you have people that
Right.
walk up in
Could be your
suit
neighbor.
and ties.
You know, that's
that
the
need it as
thing.
well.
I'm glad you
right?
brought this up
So,
because some of the people that might seem the most conservative people are usually the type of people that are doing a lot of this stuff. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not against the law.
Right.
But is this monitored by anybody? Like, if you were out, if there
Yeah,
was,
absolutely.
Okay, can you give us a rundown on that? Who is this monitored by that gives you the right to
the
sell? this?
FDA.
Really?
You know, yeah.
So this is FDA approved
I don't know if it's FDA approved or not. I believe it is.
because you're obviously not selling poison.
Right, can't do that.
If you were hurting people, then you could get into a lot of trouble.
Right.
You would actually get arrested. If you were selling
Correct.
a product that was causing health issues, then
Right.
you would get sued, I would
Well,
imagine.
well, that's why you don't, you know, go online and buy these products from somewhere that's
don't
not
know-
regulated.
I don't know
and
who would
it's-
do
and
something like that.
Right. I mean, that would be just crazy.
Right.
You
right.
know.
Yeah, I don't know who would make a mistake and do something like that. But if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Matt Long, Free Sex Pills with a Z, .com. He's in town.
Which is
for,
edgy. I like
for
the
the
Z.
AVN
Yeah.
Expo. So,
Yeah,
by the way,
makes
Stein,
sense.
Stein, what is the update? Are we getting these people who sell these sex dolls? Are they coming in studio tomorrow? What do we got going on?
Well, we're gonna try because you know, I told them that the only stipulation is they have to actually bring the said doll.
Right.
And again, I wouldn't even call this a doll. Okay, these aren't like the inflatable
No, they don't blow up.
gags that you
No.
know, you give someone at a
No.
bachorette party. You
They
see the chicks
feel
walking
real.
around the strip with the sex doll under their arm.
Yeah.
No.
Not
These
that.
are like
These are the classy dolls.
This is like an automated
It's like
human being.
This is like a person.
Yeah.
And they're modeled after an actual person.
Right. Molded.
And they're life
molded.
size, right? They're life
Molded,
size, same
yeah.
height, same weight, all that stuff molded.
Yeah, the orifices are.
The
even
orifices
molded.
are to the strict specifications. And so, yeah, that's my. So anyway, yeah. I mean,
Thanks for clarifying.
we're gonna try to get them in tomorrow, but we got to have the doll, quote unquote doll, in here for YouTube purpose. I
Right.
want to put the thing right over Chris Wynn's lap.
All
That's
right.
what I want to do with it.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
Stein, have you ever been intimate with a sex doll before?
No, I haven't, Brian. Have you?
JD, have you?
No.
My ex fiance made me buy one of those once,
How much was it?
and it was a very awkward situation for me. I did it for her, not for me. Trust me. Okay, I'll leave it.
Are
at
you
that.
talking like an entire doll or just one of those?
It was like-
you know, pocket,
inflatable one?
Those
No,
pocket, those
it wasn't.
pocket situations.
Yeah, it was like a couple $100. It was pretty cheap, but she made me do it. Trust me, I'm not
Was it
lying.
a blow up one or was
Yeah,
it?
it was a blow up one.
Yeah, that's
she
not
made me
the
do it.
same. The pocket ones he's talking about that are molded silicone.
Completely
A
different.
bee's
They're
knees,
very
brother.
classy.
Oh my goodness!
whole new world out
They got
there.
a little suction. You're in the shower. You pop that on the
No,
shower.
believe it or not.
Oh my
in
goodness.
order to be, you know, to be born, someone has to have sex
Yeah.
for that
Correct.
to happen.
Well, that is true.
So
Yeah.
this is obviously
Well,
a
there is artificial
massive-
insemination.
Matt, quick-
Massive
Matt,
industry.
have you heard about these brothels where you go in and it's all sex dolls in there? There's no actual live people. Is there in Europe, right?
Amsterdam.
Not
Amsterdam.
not in the U.S. Or are they in the U.S.? Do you know of that?
I don't know about a brothel in
heard-
the U.S. where
yeah.
it's all
But they have these,
set
right?
up that way.
In Amsterdam, they have that.
Yeah.
I've never been to Amsterdam, but we were talking about this a little bit yesterday.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we only got about a minute left to go, Matt. And by the way, thank you so much for
Not a
coming. We
problem.
appreciate
Thanks for having me.
So I want you to give a little bit of the information for people that are interested in buying your product.
Sure.
Trying it, rather give that for free, and then buying your product. Can you give out that information on there? How do people get involved with this?
Yeah, just go to freesexpills.com. You're going to put in your name, first and last name, email address. You'll create a password for your account, and then we'll ship you out a pill every month. You can log in with your password. You can pick out which pill you would like to have, and hopefully you like the product and you purchase more of them. I mean, that's the reason for the free one is so that, you test it, you see how much you like it, and you purchase more.
Any really famous celebrities that are fans of your products?
Oh, man. Like I said, when, we were working with Extends, and we still do work with Extends, Ron Jeremy uses it all the time.
He does?
Yeah.
Wow,
And,
look at
and we have, other porn stars that definitely use them, especially on shoots.
Very cool. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about this. I find this stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
I really do. And Jason is already excited, I can tell, just by looking at it.
These samples are all for you guys. So, the feedback from you
here we
guys is
go.
going to be able to be great,
Well, we need a guinea pig is what we need here.
I have one.
Well, we don't have that time because we have 20 seconds. So we got to go. I'm sorry, JD. Steven, are you saying we have a little time for one more question? All right, go ahead, JD.
So have you heard of anybody, or have you personally taken all of these pills at once, and what has the result been?
So I've taken
I'm saying one of each.
Yeah.
All for one
session.
sexual session simultaneously.
69,
And what
the
do you-
Magic Mike, and the Explosion, right? Those are the male ones, right?
Wow.
Right.
And
trifecta.
it was absolutely wonderful on both ends.
We're talking like a life-changing experience both for you and your partner.
It's not like I lost my virginity, but right, it's definitely like I felt a difference in how I felt, and the orgasm was intense, and it was real tasty.
Real
This
tasty.
is good for
Right.
men over 40, isn't it?
Because I'm a very
It's good for everybody. I don't care if you're,
Yeah, well, I'll
20,
send
20
some-
30, 40, you could,
I'm gonna
whatever age you are.
I'm going to send some to the White House, and it's going to be right on Mike Pence's desk. Let
He's
me
already
tell you.
got some.
He probably, knowing him,
He's already got some.
Knowing him, he probably already does.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. freesexpills.com. 21-hour break. The legend himself, Sean Hannity, coming up next. Have a great day, everybody.
Your home.